WBF Rochester, the sports leader. 95.7 FM and AM 950. The Fan, Rochester, an Odyssey sports station.
It's time to start the show and talk about the sports we saw. Inside jokes and takes from Danger and Battaglia. Bills and the Sabres and the Amherst. Who gave a microphone to these jerks? Welcome to the sports bar, that's where you are. Welcome to the sports bar, that's where you are. Welcome to the sports bar, that's where you are. With Danger and Battaglia.
A very good afternoon to you as we welcome you on into Rochester's only Loc Battaglia.
Welcome back, buddy. How are you?
Yeah,
I've talked to you since Friday.
I'm feeling a lot of sports fan guilt. If the ball, a lot of people will just dive in head first, do their bracket, try to cram, try to learn about these teams and what we're going to see this weekend. Because this weekend is one of the best sports weekends on the calendar. There's no question about it.
Yeah, I said this yesterday, Danger. Give yourself, you yourself and anybody else, give yourself a pass. Like, compare it to the NFL, and you are so invested that for the coming season, you're paying attention to every little detail in the month of March. That's invested. College basketball, we're not invested. Maybe your alma mater, maybe they made the tournament, maybe you've got a favorite team, but Syracuse, they didn't come anywhere close. You're not invested, but that's okay. You can, just like anybody else, do a little homework, listen to PJ Glasser, do those little things, and then you got a little action coming up Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Here's my investment on the tournament. Ready? Duke wins it all. That's as much as I've been invested this season. Duke is good. That's what I know.
You do know Cooper Flagg is
got injured. I get it.
Yeah.
Got injured. Might miss the first two rounds. Probably have to drag him off the court by the. I mean, I've already got. I said this last week. I've already got Cooper Flagg fatigue. I'm hearing his name way too much, and he's not even in the NBA yet. And I have a feeling over the next month we're going to be hearing his name a lot. But so this weekend and yesterday, I've been immersed in other things, and no, I'm not going to lie, I haven't been able to spend as much time following along as I would normally do this time of year, and fill out multiple brackets and join all the different pools and do some studying on where the 5-12 upset is going to happen, all of that.
You don't need an excuse, Danger, to join us as coming up on Thursday. Please join us. We will be live at the Tap Room on Bill Gray's. That is the Chilai Avenue location where they have the Jenny Light specials there, which include just the $3 pints, $4 pitchers, $9 pitchers, $4 talls, I should say, and $12 for only a dozen wings. That's coming up on Thursday. You and I will be there watching all the games. It's March when we have Mike Rosadonia stopping by on set. So we're going to have a lot of fun there Thursday. Hope everybody can stop by Chilai. West Side. This is the time of year we go to the West Side, Danger.
I'm going to see your professional segue and raise your professional segue by letting you know that Michael Leone, Rochester Americans head coach, is going to stop by the sports bar this afternoon at 4:25.
Yeah, so the Amherst, strange schedule here. A full week they're off. Are you kidding me? Like Friday night, they needed that win. After you winless in 5 straight, are you kidding me? Now you're down 2-0 to Providence. They rally late. They get the W. They get the 2 points. And now you're off for a full week. How do you manage that? Well, Rosane is back. Isaac Rosane sent back to the Amherst. Murray is still up. And now, after a full week off, you get 3 games in less than 72 hours. So we'll talk to the head coach, Mike Leone, coming up in the 4 o'clock hour.
And as you kind of would have expected, I mean, last Friday, the kickoff to St. Patrick's weekend, and it was a nice weekend in Rochester, so I know there were a lot of people ready to go, and I believe you had over 8,000 people at Blue Cross Arena. So an electric atmosphere as they battle back to beat Providence on Friday night. Mike Leone stopping by at 4:25, and we'll get the latest out of Orchard Park. The Buffalo Bills, Matt Perino covering the team for the Syracuse Post-Standard, stops by the sports bar in about 20 minutes, as he does every Tuesday.
So we've got a move here, which we can discuss with Matt Perino as Matt Milano taking a haircut, a reduction in pay, which, okay, he could earn some of this back by, incentives, blah, blah, blah. But the bottom line is it's going to save the Bills $3.6 million against the 2025 cap. Milano, in exchange for this, he had 3 years remaining. Now he only has 1, so he'll be a free agent in 2026.
This is the farewell tour.
Yeah, he's like Matt Milano last year. There's a play against Bo Nix in the postseason. Like, oh, that's the guy. Maybe he comes back, but the injuries have kind of piled up. And naturally, you have a guy in Dorian Williams that, okay, maybe Dorian Williams' peak isn't what Matt Milano's was at an all-pro level, but you could see the Bills kind of working it here. That's got to be a tough conversation to have, right? Hey, we really love you, but we only love you at this number. Brandon Beane working his magic here once again.
Yeah, a little bit of savings here, over $3.5 million in savings off the cap for 2025 with this move. Matt Milano now making a base of just over $6.3 million with $5.631 of that guaranteed this season. Can I look into the crystal ball? Because when I hear this news, when I see this news, and when I know that the draft is coming up, don't you get the sense Sean McDermott loves him some storylines and loves him some narratives, and there's going to be a linebacker out of the University of Buffalo that may or may not get drafted. Sean Dolak has all these great measurables, and he had a great pro day, and I just that to me.
I think he's getting drafted, Danger. I've seen him mocked as high as a 4th rounder. So honestly, you're telling me like if he's there in the 5th round, the Bills have 3 5th-round picks? Are you kidding?
They're getting their guy.
They're getting their guy. Also, too, maybe there is somebody at pick 30 or in the 2nd round. I don't know. This would be the time to make a big play like that. Hey, do we want somebody? Because the linebacker's so vital to the McDermott scheme. You've got Terrell Bernard, by the way, number 8 now.
Yeah, old man shouting at clouds take. I don't like it. Stick with your number. Why are we changing numbers every year? I can't keep up. I don't like it at all. Was there a meaning behind it? Was there a significance behind it?
I don't know, but we got used to Taron Johnson wearing the single digits.
I'm done with that, too. I don't like it. Stick with your number. It's your number. It's your brand. What are you going to tell me next? Josh Allen's going to go from 17 to 2? I know what happens in the NBA. Shouldn't happen in the NFL. I don't like it.
He'd have to pay Tyler Bass if he wanted to.
Just throwing out numbers out there. He's going to take Trubisky's number? What's he going to do?
Yeah.
Not happening.
Not happening. No, it's one of those rule changes that still I can't calibrate my mind around. But, yeah, that's the other Bills note. Matt Perino, Syracuse Post Standard Shop Podcast, coming up at the bottom of this hour.
We're like a Ticketmaster over here. We're giving away free tickets this afternoon. We've got free tickets to see the Deftones. We've got free tickets before you can buy them to see Black Keys as well. We'll give those away throughout the course of the afternoon. You can join us anytime this afternoon on the Good Smoke Barbecue and Pub Wingman line. That's 866-4FAN, 866-4326.
The proverbial table is set.
It sure is, pal. And we're looking forward to that Thursday live show as we take the show on the road to the west side of Bill Gray's on Chili Avenue. Can't wait for that.
Fantastic. Yep. So join us there, and they're going to have giveaways. It's going to be a lot of fun. And, hey, we're there to watch the games, too.
No question. All right, where do we want to start? I feel like I said, I feel like I'm behind the 8 ball a little bit here as far as what I might have missed over the last 2 or 3 days.
You tell me where you want to start. We have topics here. We have Kyer Elam.
Oh, Kyer Elam, yes.
We have Aaron Rodgers.
Oh, we're still on Aaron Rodgers' watch. Yes, that's correct.
And, there's a new development there today. Well, kind of. And then I have the wild card category. So you tell me, which one would you like to go to here on the board?
Let me think. Where do I want to start? I mean, I know we're going to talk I know we're going to talk Rodgers. I know we'll talk Kyer Elam.
Wild card, bitches! Yeah!
Let's go wild card.
Dear Fox Rochester, okay? And you and I work for them part-time. I'm tuning in this morning. Hey, on Fox, watch the baseball game. And I tune in this morning.
Oh.
There's no game. Run a scroll, because apparently it was on CW. I didn't know that because I'm a Fubo subscriber, and we don't get the CW. That's just my rant there.
Oh,
and we
wow.
I appreciate Mike Catalana and Dan Fates, and they would say it too, like, hey, like, why is the news on? There's no rain delay. It's in a dome overseas. Yeah, the wild card being that baseball actually got underway.
Yeah, I saw my Cubbies got their loss. Yeah, I think they scored the first run, and then it all kind of went downhill from there. I was following along a little bit on my phone in between flights this morning, and I looked at it. I'm like, well, No, might have been a good omen for a second there, but nah, didn't work out.
The Dodgers, Danger, are so good. So Freddie Freeman, some rib injury. You know what? Rest.
Didn't play.
Didn't play. Mookie Betts. Now, something's going on with Mookie Betts where he dropped 15 pounds. Like, I've heard of people getting this flu, but that's a little extreme. Nah, you know what? Fly back. I mean, the Dodgers are so deep. They can withstand losses like that. And by the time October comes around, everybody should be fresh and ready to go here. So, I mean, is there much suspense to this baseball season?
Here's my prediction for the baseball season. The Dodgers will win 157 games thanks to their $8 trillion payroll, and it will be like this until baseball has a salary cap. The end.
Okay.
Nope. Nobody's stopping that team. 157 wins. It's going to shatter every record.
So last night I had my first baseball draft. I know you don't care about, my fantasy league.
Oh, who cares?
And you saw Monica at Trivia Night last night.
Hey!
Called it the League of Dorks. Oh, you're doing the League of Dorks.
Nerd! How
like,
does that feel when Monica, somebody who's clearly smarter than both of us,
she's a doctor.
She's a doctor, looks down at you and says, "Hey, dork." That's fun. Yeah, that's fun. You're in a league of dorks. I'm sorry. Go ahead. You're in your first.
You know how many Dodgers I took on my team? I'll tell you, 0.
Why?
Low management. Like, there's going to be so many talented players. Do you really need, like, when it comes to pitching, you could have a 6-man rotation. There's just going to be less volume for all these guys.
Okay.
We got to talk a little fantasy baseball on that. But the reason I'm in this league on a Monday night, Alex Gold, who we've had on the show, he does middays on 96.5, The Fan in Kansas City. Just put that out there to his followers, and I kind of snuck in.
Oh, this is the Kansas City League.
Yeah, so I'm still in the Kansas City League. I am the villain, and I nearly pulled it off last year. I got to the semifinal. There's 18 teams here, Danger. The head-to-head format. And the goal here is win something for Western New York and taunt those guys.
Yeah.
Taunt Binkley, taunt Gold.
Well, it was great that you finished in second place last season.
Because we're adding a little something to this month's sales contest. As you all know, first prize is a Cadillac Eldorado. Anybody want to see second prize?
Steak knives.
Second prize is a set of steak knives. Third prize is your fires.
I mean, if I'm Alex Gold, I'm sending you a message saying, "Hey, man, next time you're in Kansas City, we'll take you out to the best barbecue in town. You can use those steak knives to cut a fillet. What do you think?"
Technically, I finished third.
Oh, you're
third
fired.
out of 18. Yeah, I'm fired. You're fired.
Oh.
Your conversion, though, at some point, I want to get you into one of these leagues.
I
with me.
say it every year. I did fantasy baseball one season with our buddy Jim Riley, who we had on this show multiple times from Ball Cap Sports on YouTube. It was his idea because we were in a fantasy football league together. It was like, hey, this is fun. Let's try fantasy baseball. And we did. It was a lot of the same guys that we were in the fantasy football league with. And it went so poorly. And it was such a, I don't know how it was set up. It was head to head and not roto. So because it was head to head, it was a lot. It was a lot of.
Dude, it's constant when it's head to head. Like, hey, there's a rain out. Get those players out of the lineup. You constantly have to manage your lineup.
And at the end of the season, I think we were all so miserable and tired from it. We just kind of said, let's never speak of this again. And we never did it again.
It's funny. I want to say from that league, and it's basically listeners in Kansas City, all Royals fans, half of them dropped out. So there's like it's like half radio people, half listeners that, okay, this is just too much work.
Yeah, well, we had some of that here with the unsanctioned, when we did the unsanctioned RAP, where, year to year retention, it's just kind of like, it drops off a little bit. I went a year without it. I'm good. No, I did it last year and didn't win. I'm good. I'm out. I don't know if I have a problem with that. Like, I know guys that are really, really into their fantasy football, fantasy baseball, and they'll just be like, yeah, I need a year. I need to take some time. Take the time. Take the time.
But when you take the time, do you actually come back to that league, though? The league kind of moves on. They filled the spot. More often than not, you're kind of done.
Sometimes you can come back. But I think it's okay to do a little mental reset as far as, because you get invested in it. I get invested in it. Like, if I have a problem with legalized sports wagering or with fantasy football or fantasy baseball, is we're competitive and we want to win. And so what do? We do the prep and we do the work and we do the research and we listen and we read and we pour ourselves into it. And by the time it's on, I'm spent. I'm like, whew, this is a lot. Where could I could burn calories doing other things that are going to be productive as well and still be a fan of the sport or the league or the team or the player.
Dan DeLorean didn't like my team. I kind of picked it Rochester-based, almost. Ernie Clement,
sure,
got him late. James Wood, Dylan Cruz.
Okay.
A lot of guys that, I'm familiar with and I like, so therefore I'm taking.
So you can't apologize for that. You shouldn't apologize for that. That's your team.
They're all talented guys.
That's your team. It's like these rules that are these they're not they're unwritten rules, I guess. When people get upset, like, hurry up and make your pick. It's like, no, jackwagon. I've got a minute or I've got 90 seconds. I'm going to take all 90 if I need them to make my pick. I don't care what round it is. Like that. Those are the people that drive me nuts in fantasy drafts.
I think, though, we did have a couple guys that
auto draft.
No, I'm fine with auto draft. That didn't auto draft it, that logged on and let the clock kind of run out. And like every single time, I know this is going to be the 2 minutes here.
Yeah, I don't like that. If you're going to do it, commit to it. And just like you need a good commissioner, be a good manager, commit to it. All right, so that's the wild card.
Okay.
Good luck this season in that league. We want a winner here in West Virginia. We don't want steak knives. We don't want to fall short of the Super Bowl again. We want to push through. This is the year.
Winner.
Yes,
winning. Kyrie Elam or Aaron Rodgers, Mike Danger?
Well, I think the Aaron Rodgers thing is pretty simple, right? Like, what is this, Hayward in Pittsburgh, basically?
Play the audio. This audio got picked up by Rich Eisen, then the guys on One Bills Live played it. So if you listen to our station, chances are you might have heard this already today. But I think it's so good that, hey, Cam Hayward, the way he kind of lays this out, you've not much of a sales pitch here.
I ain't doing that darkness retreat. I don't need any of that crap. Like, either you want to be a Pittsburgh Steeler or you don't. That's simple. That's the pitch. Like, if you want me to recruit, that's the recruiting pitch. Pittsburgh Steelers, if you want to be part of it, so be it. If you don't, no skin on my back.
Yeah.
Right. That's where we all are.
But here's the thing. And we talked about this last week with Bart Winkler from Wisconsin when he joins us from the Infinity Sportsnet. He doesn't have to make a decision. He's got every right to hold out and wait and choose. There's millions of dollars on the line for whatever decision he makes. One team may be offering more. He might be able to get more from another team. A team could get desperate later in the offseason or in the preseason and want to pay him more. He's a free agent for the first time in his career. I'm actually on Aaron Rodgers' side on this one. I don't think he needs to make a decision. And if he wants to hang it up, he can hang it up. You can say, he's holding these teams hostage. These teams are dysfunctional for not having a quarterback in ready to go. I mean, if you're Pittsburgh and you're satisfied, if I'm Cam Hayward, I'm saying this. Cam, are you satisfied going into the season with Mason Rudolph as your starter? That's what the organization has deemed appropriate today.
So sometimes, like, things that your grade school teachers drill into your head stick with you for life. And if anybody had Mr. Lown in the Greece Central School District growing up, I had Mr. Lown 5th grade. And the first day of class, he puts it on the chalkboard and writes this. And, it's like as a 5th grader, you don't know what this means. You get it today.
I love this lesson.
You are responsible for the position you are in.
Correct.
Very simple lesson.
Yep.
So any Steeler fan that's upset, no. You are responsible for this, as is the New York Giants management. And a team that doesn't have it. If you're upset at Aaron Rodgers, I can't believe I'm signing with Aaron Rodgers on this. It's your responsibility. And this is your plan? Okay. When we had terrible Take Timmy on yesterday, the Brett Favre analogy always comes up. But then part of history, I'm like, okay, I'm a little fuzzy on this because we all remember the story where he played for the 1 year and then, okay, well, I'm retired. And then he's down on the farm or wherever. And whoever his teammates flew down, they're all shucks. Guys, I'll come back. I'm ready for camp now. And he goes back up and he leads the team to the NFC Championship game.
Was this before or after he was stealing money from the welfare system of the state?
That's a good question.
Okay,
maybe that was all
because the true Brett Favre career arc would mean Aaron Rodgers would have to embezzle money from the poor to fully complete the circle of life.
Allegedly. Now the question is, and I'll put this to you, like, well, wait a second. What if Favre said, you know what, guys, I really like being on my ranch, and it's a terrible Brett Favre impression I'm doing. What was the plan for the Vikings at quarterback? Do you remember? I couldn't remember. Like, what was the plan if Brett Favre didn't go back to Minnesota?
Ooh. Who did they have? Did they have anybody?
They did. It was a name. When you hear that, it like, and then when Tim's like, well, the guy was actually on the Bills roster at one point. I'm like, really? Who? And I'm supposed to be good at this sort of stuff.
Was it Thad Lewis?
Nope.
Uh,
Played for Seattle.
Played quarterback for Seattle.
Mm-hmm.
Was on the Bills roster, and was the plan at quarterback for the
Vikings.
Vikings. Oh man, this is gonna hurt. This one hurts.
Tavares Jackson, who go from far.
I forgot he was with the Bills. When was he with the Bills?
Yeah, I think after. Yeah,
I forgot. God,
that was not a plan.
No, not a plan. Not good.
No, so is that how we're going to view Mason Rudolph someday? Like, wait, before Aaron Rodgers showed up in Pittsburgh, what was the plan?
Yeah.
Oh, it was Mason Rudolph.
Right. The guy that they had familiarity with because he started a handful of games on necessity. Well, it might be starting a whole season out of necessity if Rodgers decides he wants to hang it up instead of go play for a team that has a guy saying, I don't need no darkness retreat. You either want to be here or you don't. Oh, well, okay. Thanks. And then you're going to be facing off against you at practice every day? No, I'm good. Yeah, we'll wait this one out. We'll see how this saga unfolds, but I think with each passing day, we're all coming to grips with the idea that he's not going to make a decision anytime soon. This is going to stretch into the spring, late spring, early summer, likely beyond the draft. So if you're drafting, if you're the Giants, Shedeur Sanders becomes a very real possibility again, right?
Well, there'll be some sort of Aaron Rodgers story, I'm sure, that will be leaked to whoever is.
Day one of the draft.
Yeah.
No question.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
he wants the headline.
Got to get that headline. Matt Perino, the Syracuse Post-Standard, is joining us next. We'll continue our conversation on Kaiir Elam, who had some things to say about his time with the Buffalo Bills, but also this Matt Milano restructure and what could be his final season in Buffalo as he's set to hit free agency now in 2026. We'll get caught up on all the other free agent signings. We haven't talked to Perino since Brandon Beane disclosed to everybody that not one, but two of his free agent signings will be serving 6-game suspensions.
Yeah, the Friday afternoon news dump at Orchard Park. Oh.
Yeah,
okay.
Good stuff there. So we'll get into that with Matt Perino as well. Joining us next from Syracuse.com on The Fan.
You're listening to the
Does your smart speaker play ambient noise when you asked for sports news? Time for an upgrade. Tell it to play 95.7 The Fan and turn those static noises into thrilling play-by-plays. The Fan Rochester Sports Update.
Bills linebacker Matt Milano agreeing to a new contract. The reduction in pay means a savings of roughly $3.6 million against the 2025 cap. Milano would become a free agent in the year 2026. We'll talk some Bills football. Matt Perino, Syracuse Post-Standard and the Shout podcast. Matt joins us next year in the Sports Bar. First for tonight, college basketball headlined by North Carolina. Head coach Hubert Davis on SDSU.
The preparation is the same. I mean, we've played 3 games in a row in Maui. We've played 3 games in a row in the ACC tournament. There's twice during conference season where we've had Saturday games and then had to play Monday against a different opponent on the road. And so in regards to preparation and practice, none of that has changed.
NIT tournament tonight, St. Bonaventure hosting Kent State. Dodgers beat the Cubs 4-1. G. Battaglia, The Fan, Rochester.
They've raised the bar on Rochester Sports Talk. You're in the Sports Bar with Danger and Battaglia on the Sports Leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950 The Fan, Rochester.
All right, lots to get to with Matt Perino covering the Buffalo Bills for Syracuse.com, the Syracuse Post-Standard. Matt, before we talk about the events of Friday, 6-game suspensions for 2 defensive tackles. The news today, Matt Milano with the restructure and will become a free agent after the 2025 season. Some savings here for the Buffalo Bills. Is there something bigger at play here, and do you see this linebacker position kind of morphing for the Buffalo Bills in 2025 with Milano taking a hit? Matt?
You got me?
Yeah, we got
there
you.
We go.
I was making a smoothie, boys, and I had you on mute because I didn't want that to go over the air. And didn't hit mute again when I was starting to talk, so I was just talking to nobody. So that
Matt, one of our regulars, speaking of you making a smoothie, one of our regulars just had to comment, out of the blue the other day, like, yeah, I saw your guy Perino asking questions at the press conference. Is that guy like a literal Ken doll? Like, dude he's doing a smoothie. He's taking good care of himself. We've already said you got the best hair in the sports bar. I mean, the guy just takes care of himself. Discipline unlike anybody else.
Well, here's the thing. We're in a rough time of the season. We are in March, which means all of the months of eating like a sports writer kind of catches up with you.
Yes.
And then you don't do anything for a couple of months.
Yeah.
So we are in detoxification mode right now. We're trying to get back in the gym. The cold plunges they're gonna be making a big comeback over the next couple of weeks. We gotta lose about 10 to 15. We'll see if we can get there by training camp.
Oh my God, 10 to 15. Like, he needs it though. And this is discipline. This is why
That
the
is
greats
the
are the greats.
That is
the greats are the greats. Well, while you're enjoying your smoothie, Matt, the idea that what happened Friday there, your thoughts on the 2 defensive tackles here, and if a 6-game suspension, could that actually be 6? Could it be reduced? Like, walk us through what the world looks like here at that position now.
So, so a couple things. First, quickly on Milano, I think there's a couple things at play there. I think number one, you have a team-friendly guy, a team-first guy, who's giving them a little bit of cushion now so they can kind of be a little bit more aggressive. And let's be honest, what could have been the final year of his deal regardless of what he did. And he can still earn it. I mean, he's just got to be available. He got paid for a season on a pretty nice contract where he didn't play. So I think that what you see is a guy like Von Miller, a guy like Matt Milano just trying to help the team in the same way that like Josh Allen did when he did his contract with trying to make it team friendly so that they can continue to spend. And I also think it shows you the Bills are planning for life after Matt Milano. If this season doesn't go the way that they probably hope, then you have a clean break after this season. In terms of the defensive tackles, it's interesting because I don't know, guys. Do you remember a time where Brandon Beane, in one circumstance, like one moment, took more heat than it felt like he was taking on Friday?
You know what? I think that's why it happened on Friday.
It was a Friday afternoon news dump, Matt.
I think he just, he kind of looked shell-shocked at having to make that announcement to everybody in a room full of people that he talks to often. Yeah, we didn't really know that was happening, and here we are. We're kind of dealing with it now.
Yeah, and so I didn't talk a lot about this on the show, and we're coming back with another show tomorrow. Me and Ryan will be the first time since we talked about it. At times in his description, he was a bit red-faced. I'd never seen him like that. I think that there was, egg on the face type of situation, kind of walked right into it. Now, a lot of people are like, how does this happen? And I think the explanation that he gave makes a lot of sense. They were in on Hoyt going back to last year when he was an RFA. They weren't able to get him out of LA, who still wanted him. So they'd been tracking him. They'd spent a year probably pursuing him. And there's a lot of different ideas for how Hoyt could be used in this defense. He is a rover of sorts. He's somebody that could be used as an edge rusher, push inside, play linebacker, get out in coverage. Although I don't know you want to have him be in coverage too much. This was a piece to the defense that I think that they prioritized early on and were willing to have him part of the long-term plan to eat that 6-game suspension because of the player that he is. Now, the explanation on Ogunjobi, a lot of people probably sitting there on Thursday like, okay, you find this out on Thursday, just move on. Like this isn't a guy that is good enough to wait around for 6 weeks. I get that part of it too, but I was listening to Greg Cosell. He was on the One Bills Live recently, and he was talking about Ogunjobi and being like a piece, and I hadn't really thought about it like this before. He's not going to blow you away with his ability. He's not going to have big sack numbers. He's not going to show up, play to play. But as part of a rotation, his value raises quite a bit because it allows other people to do specific things. He's been a real impactful player in Pittsburgh for just that. Guys like T.J. Watt, Alex Highsmith, Cam Hayward. Ogunjobi is one of those guys where we've been screaming year after year for them to find supplemental play on the interior. I think they found that in Ogunjobi. Is it great that they have two guys that are going to be out 6 games at the same time? No. But I also maintain whether or not either of them were suspended for the first 6 games, neither of these signings changed the map for me when it comes to what they have to do in the draft. Because year after year, this is what they do. They find a couple of players you get excited about in free agency, and then you almost push the need down at defensive tackle and edge in the draft. I don't think you could take anything that's happened in free agency, despite the 3 additions, and change anything, the math on the draft, whether or what it was on March 15th versus what it's going to be on April 27th.
So, silver lining for this, you got guys that are missing 6 games, but the way that they rotate on the defensive line, Matt, I mean, I'm not going to use the load management as something that happens in the NFL, but there is certainly something to having guys fresher later in the season or later in the postseason when you need them at the most, and they're not going to have as much wear on their tires when they get past that suspension.
That's huge for Ogunjobi because he's been banged up the last couple of years, and actually his last big season, the 7-sack season in Cincinnati, he got hurt in the first playoff game. So I think if you could take some of the wear and tear off of him and allow some of your younger players, I mean, you're sitting here looking at a big role for Dwayne Carter with who's on the roster right now in place of Ogunjobi those first 6 games. What else are they going to do in the draft at defensive tackle? Are they willing to take another 3-tech maybe later in the draft and maybe vault them into a spot where, listen, one idea I had is maybe you draft a couple of guys, you get to training camp, you get through preseason, they make it onto your roster, they're now playing in a more advanced role because Hoyt and Ogunjobi aren't available. You get to the trade deadline, and now you have an embarrassment of riches at a position that if you're Brandon Beane, maybe you can get aggressive, trade Ogunjobi for whatever it is, a 26 pick or whatever else you need on your roster right then. It doesn't have to be a, all or nothing kind of scenario. There's other outcomes that I think can put Beane in a good spot. I just think they have to land a defensive tackle to pair with Ed Oliver in the draft, and they have to find another developmental edge rusher, preferably on day 1 or 2, that gives you the kind of juice where you're not going into the season and having to rely on Joey Bosa in any kind of way. He almost becomes this kind of supplemental piece throughout the regular season that you could turn to when the games really start to matter.
Matt Barino, podcast, Syracuse Post Standard, Syracuse.com is our guest. Matt, I'll give Brandon Beane credit on this, at least for the Ogunjobi. Like, the league hadn't even found out about this yet. I guess we kind of learned about the whole process that not only the Bills not know, the league hadn't known. And, well, the end of the process here could, by whether appeal or whatever it may be, are we sure that both of these guys, when it's all said and done, are going to be 6-game suspensions, or could it be fewer?
I think, from my understanding, they can appeal, but the way they spoke about it last week makes you think that they're not. They're both like on the record saying that they're accepting accountability for what substances they put inside their body, and that they're going to sit out those games and be ready to go on the other side of it and be advocates for guys inside the building and beyond. Hoyt was actually just at a NFLPA event in Maui. That's where he was when the free agency period kind of kicked off. He found out he didn't have Wi-Fi on a plane as his agent started doing the conversations with all the teams, and so he lands, finally gets some cell phone service, and a few minutes or hours later, I can't remember what he said now, he learned that he was a Bill. So he's active in the NFLPA. I'd imagine that they're just going to take their medicine, get on the other side of this thing. And here's the other thing, guys. Like, we're talking about a team that finds ways to win. And even when they've dealt with injuries or unavailable players over the last couple of years, they've found a way to get guys to contribute. They still have Josh Allen. This offense, as we see it, barring injury, will be whole. I think they could probably weather the storm over a 6-game stretch. We haven't really seen the schedule yet. I understand that. But I just, again, these are two players that aren't even starters. Like, these are guys that are probably going to be, role players that are heavily involved in the rotation when available, but not guys that they're counting on to be difference makers per se.
Matt, let's go back to what life after Matt Milano could look like for the Buffalo Bills. I'm curious to get your take on what Sean McDermott may be thinking here, and there might be some things that haven't yet come to fruition, but could certainly be on their radar. I mean, we know about Dorian Williams. We know about the role he's played in Milano's absences. What about guys that they do have on the roster? What about Joe Andreessen? What about another UB guy who will be coming up in this year's draft that I know is getting a little bit of buzz there because he had a big pro day at UB, and Sean Dolak? Is that the kind of guy and that the kind of player? It feels like McDermott does put a priority on local connections or guys that are from this area or from north of the border that know how to play in the cold or are familiar with the lifestyle of Western New York.
I mean, Dolak's fun, right? Like, he's been this unbelievable talent. I mean, maybe the second greatest UB football player behind Khalil Mack all time. And so I think getting him in the building and somebody as a developmental player makes a ton of sense. I don't know enough about where he projects long term. Is he a off-the-ball linebacker? Is he somebody that's going to play the middle linebacker position in the league? A lot to be determined there. But we do know the Bills' path in terms of wanting guys from UV because they can get a better read on these guys. They have a relationship with the program and everything like that. I don't know if he ends up going in the top 4 rounds, if that ends up making a ton of sense, just because I don't know if there's value at that pick. This is a team that it's pretty stocked at linebacker. I mean, if you put all the position groups together and you're ranking depth in each room, I mean, I'd probably put offensive line first, not counting quarterback. I think linebacker is pretty close. And you think about Dorian Williams and Terrell Bernard, who you take Milano out of the situation. If you were walking into day one with those two guys as your starting combo, you're excited about that, I think. And then you have really young players in Andreessen and Ulafosho, who I know we didn't see a ton this year, but I remember talking about him a ton after the draft and hearing guys that really pay attention to this kind of thing saying he's going to be a really good coverage linebacker at the next level. We just haven't seen anything from him yet, and he was kind of banged up during the preseason. So they have a lot of interesting names. They still have Balen Spector. We'll see if that experiment continues. You want to talk about availability. I mean, there's not a poster boy for not being available like Spector has been the last couple of years, but he continues to hang around because when he does play, they really like what he offers.
Matt Perino is our guest here in the Sports Bar. I'll give Brandon Bean also credit for finding a draft pick and a pick swap for Kyrie Elam and cap savings. Are you kidding me? I don't have any problem, Matt, with Kyrie Elam going down to Dallas and having a little chip and trying to earn it back. Did the Bills, as Elam kind of put him in the back seat? Did they give him a full opportunity here in Buffalo?
No, I don't think so. And I think this goes back to one of my harshest criticism of Sean McDermott is I totally understand that playing time has to be earned. But when you listen to Brandon Beane talk about Kyrie Elam post-trade, that doesn't tell a story to me of a guy that wasn't doing the things necessary to earn a chance as a former first-round pick. It's the same criticism I had about the team with Cody Ford years ago. You draft the guy as kind of a tweener. You say he's a tackle definitively. Then you get to day one, and you're like, yeah, we're going to actually go with a timeshare with veteran 36 or 7-year-old Ty Nsekhe. I mean, talk about a complete blow to a young player's confidence. Going into that, I know Christian Benford balled out and deserved every opportunity that he got, and rightfully so. They've landed at a guy that's borderline all-pro level. So I think in the end, the Bills still ended up winning in all of this. But when you take a 6th-round pick and he is playing over your first-round pick, I mean, confidence is going to be an issue from the very beginning in that scenario. And it's not Kyrie Elam's fault that they drafted him. And I think that's where I've been also critical this offseason. And I've asked a couple of questions, and maybe at the owners' meetings we can get down to brass tacks a little bit more when it comes to my pursuit of an answer on this. Do the Bills need to better align their plans for players amongst coaches with the evaluation on the front office side? So that means all right, you have a scout, you have the GM, you have the assistant GM, and all of them are in lockstep that this guy is going to be a player. But then he gets there day one, and they're battling with the day 3 pick. And it's just you don't see that a ton around the league where a guy doesn't come in and at the very least get an opportunity. And I think, listen, you're going to have these situations that pop up. For as many misses as Brandon Beane has had, I could probably name you 3 or 4 hits. I think he's had more hits than he's had misses in the draft. And I know people would like to argue that, especially the day 1 picks over the years, especially recently. But he's found a lot of really, really good players. I mean, this extension cycle is example enough. And don't forget to throw in Taron Johnson's second extension, Spencer Brown's extension in the season. I mean, those are some elite 3rd and 4th round picks that are now playing at borderline all-pro level. So it's never going to be perfect, and you hope as a fan that the team and the regime learns lessons on all of these failures to prevent them from happening, because at this point, the Bills have to really land a top-tier pick in this draft. And it's why I know looking in the past is always 20/20 vision, right? But I was a heavy advocate of trading up for Brian Thomas Jr. I think he could have really unlocked this offense in a lot of ways. And I think sometimes there hasn't been the kind of aggression Beane needs to get up into that 15 range to get the guy that you really want. Baltimore goes up and gets Zay Flowers. The Chiefs go up a couple of years ago and get Trent McDuffie for a guy they really want. To me, that person this year is Kenneth Grant. They got to get into a range to get this guy. I think he's the potential difference maker at the exact position that they need. And just because he's going to go at 16 and you don't want to trade up, higher than 20, that can't be what's holding you back from getting a potential elite player on a rookie contract.
Yeah, and I think about Elam, and I think about when he was drafted, and you mentioned McDuffie. I mean, could Elam have just been screwed from day one? Because if you're Sean McDermott, the last thing you want to do as a head coach in the NFL is settle. The guy that you really wanted was taken by your mentor.
Exactly. And no worse situation to be in as a player or a coach, because it felt like from every conversation I've had, from John Butler all the way down to Kyrie Elam, I mean, we're coming off of his first season, and he's talking about the fact that, he just had no comment about his relationship with John Butler. So you get into a position room where you don't think the guy that's like calling all the shots in that room believes in you. I don't know. I coach Little League sports. I'm not sitting here saying that I'm some coach aficionado. But everything that I've learned from day one, it's about putting your players in the best position to win. And if you invest that kind of asset into a player, you almost have to exhaust every resource to give them what they need to be that player. Great coaches find a way to get players to be the best version of themselves. And maybe Elam never had that possibility in this defense, but at times doesn't it feel like they just didn't do enough to give him that chance?
I picture Matt clapping a lot, coming out of the dugout or whatever, like McDermott almost.
That's a good question. You have to ask somebody else because I'm not really like watching back tape of myself like in the dugout. But I don't think I clap a lot. Right? I think I clap a normal amount. I'm not at McDermott level.
No, I don't think anybody's at the McDermott level. That guy just radiating positivity through his incessant clapping.
Since we last talked, the Bills signed a familiar name, Dane Jackson. Matt, this isn't the answer, right? Corner 4, sure, but you talk about that position, and where did we leave off with Rasul Douglas? Is it just Douglas just has to figure out what his market value is here?
Probably part of that. I wonder if there's a little bit of there's a drop-off last year, and the Bills are hoping to upgrade, and you bring back Douglas, who started for 2 years, and now that creates a bit of a expectation that it's his job to lose maybe. Not that the Bills would approach it that way, but I could see that being a holdup, especially at whatever the cost is. On Dane Jackson, it's like the total post-Kyer Elam trade move, right? Like, get rid of the guy that you couldn't get on the field and bring in the guy that most fans were praying that you'd get off the field most of the time. And that comes from somebody, for me, I've always been higher on Dane Jackson than most. But even with that said, I'm not a fan of the move because it gives you a sense of comfort that you have a guy that knows your scheme, has played a lot of games for you, you know what he can do as a floor. And leaning on that, to me, I don't know. I think that's what at times has gotten the Bills into trouble under the McDermott Bean regime, is like going back to their well of players that they know from obviously Carolina, guys that they've scouted in the past, guys that have played here before. They did it this year, bringing back Quentin Jefferson and Jordan Phillips. And honestly, the Phillips move ended up working out. He had a huge game in the AFC Championship game, I thought. So kudos to them. And maybe Dane Jackson in the second go-around, is either a depth player or maybe he wins the job and is really good. Who knows? Like, any outcome can happen. But I think, you have all these draft picks. You've done a really good job of, Dane Jackson was a 6th-round pick. Christian Benford was a 6th-round pick. You tend to hit on these day 3 cornerback picks. Why not go that direction once again? And maybe you have a couple of veterans that are still out there. I know Asante Samuel Jr., I still believe, is out there. There's probably going to be some guys that become available as we get to training camp and some things shake out and some cap casualties and stuff like that. So there's probably other options. But as we sit here today, I don't think you feel great about the Bills' cornerback situation past Benford, other than the fact that you have 2 guys in Jamarcus Ingram and Dane Jackson who can give you a certain level of starter quality play. It's just there's a lower ceiling.
What are you and Ryan working on in the pod, Matt, and what can we check out at Syracuse.com this week?
Yep, we'll have all the free agency coverage is up at the website. We'll have our return to the podcast tomorrow night. Wednesday night, we'll do our Staples show. And then before you know it, we're going to be into next week and heading off to West Palm Beach for the owner meetings.
Yes, the private cocktail party with, we'll have to talk before then. Matt, what flavor smoothie did you make there, bud?
Today we went with a little almond butter. We did a little Greek yogurt.
Protein.
We got mango and red raspberries. All right, and frozen banana. You got to throw. Yeah, that's the trick to a smoothie at home. You got to freeze the bananas.
You can freeze any fruit, really, right? I mean, I like to throw maybe a few frozen cherries, a couple frozen raspberries in there, possibly.
Oh yeah, all the fruit's frozen, but the banana is key. A lot of people don't freeze the whole banana. You can just freeze the whole banana and then just cut it up.
I like it. So you got banana basically like turns into ice cubes. You blend it all up, and you've got like.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's good. That's a pro move. I mean, that is a tasty sounding, protein packed Matt Perino smoothie. That's why Perino looks the way he looks, and we look the way we look. Gino,
I can't argue that.
Matt, appreciate the
I'll
time.
bring my smoothie maker to Fisher. We'll do a seminar.
Dude, well, you know what? That would be a nice turning point for us because last year we're trying to jam garbage plates down your throat, and you're the one that's actually smart and feeding yourself healthy nutrients and protein with your smoothies. Yes, do that.
Sounds good, boys. Have a great week.
Thanks, Matt.
The sports smoothie bar moving forward. We'll go to St. John Fisher, and Perino will be the guy behind the counter serving them up.
You know, they've announced in the past training camp dates, March, are saying we're coming back. I don't even think we're worried about that, right?
No, we don't have any insecurity about them not coming to St. John Fisher.
No.
As long as Oak Hill is open and they can play Oak Hill, they will be coming to Fisher for Bill's training camp.
Haley, can Josh come over for 2.5 weeks here in Rochester?
Let the boys be boys. Let them come to Fisher. Let them practice. Let them golf. Let them do what they want to do. And then we'll get down to business. Yeah. I'm not worried about that at all. It's a year-to-year thing, right? There's no long-term deal with the university, but I think everybody expects that to happen. And, well, we'll get the dates when we get the dates. There's a lot to happen still on the NFL calendar here before we start talking about training camp. Appreciate that conversation with Matt Perino. Always love getting him on to talk Buffalo Bills. We will be joined next hour by Amerks head coach Mike Leone. We give away some free tickets right now. Let's do this. Our last pair of free tickets to see Deftones with Fantagram. They're coming September 1st to KeyBank Center. You can get tickets on sale now at livenation.com, or you can win them for free if you're caller 5 at 866-4FAN. Free tickets to see Deftones at KeyBank Center on September 1st, 866-4326.
You're listening to The Sports Bar with Danger and Battaglia.
950 The Fan, Rochester, an Odyssey sports station.
The Fan Rochester Sports Update.
Bills linebacker Matt Milano agrees to a new contract. In reality, it's a pay cut. It means a savings of $3.6 million against the 2025 cap. He could earn that back in terms of incentives that would go against the 26 cap. Milano will become a free agent in 2026. First four tonight, North Carolina facing San Diego State University. The NIT tournament also beginning tonight. St. Bonaventure gets a home game. The Bonnies taking on Kent State. The Major League Baseball season began this morning, Eastern time in Tokyo. The Dodgers beating the Cubs 4-1. Shohei Ohtani 2 for 5 with a run scored. Same two teams tomorrow, 6:10 a.m. Eastern. The Rochester Americans back on the ice Friday against Charlotte. Head coach Mike Leone joins us later this hour. Gene Battaglin, sports leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950, The Fan, Rochester.
The Sports Bar with Danger and Battaglia.
We got NCAA tournament games tonight. The first four.
First moment of March Madness has arrived.
We're going to be talking a lot of March Madness this week. You can tell I don't like this stuff very much, so it's really hard to talk about, but it's a lot of fun, especially this time of the year.
I still think if you're the Bills, you got to shore up the interior and probably go D-line with your early pick there. And I still think you need to add an impact receiver.
Aaron Rodgers. Either you want to be a Pittsburgh Steeler or you don't.
Kirk Cousins.
It's Mr. Unlimited.
Mike Danger.
Danger's got to feel like danger if I'm going to be able to come in here and perform every afternoon in the sports bar.
Gene Battaglia.
Aren't you proud of me?
Yeah, I am proud of you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I am.
The baseball season kind of began this morning in Tokyo. The Dodgers a 4-1 decision over the Cubs.
Go Sabres.
Let's go Amherst.
95.7 FM and AM 950 The Fan, Rochester.
Hey, we haven't talked about this yet, Gino, and I don't know if this happens or whether it's a good or a bad thing for Syracuse, but seeing the school linked with Coach Prime's desire to have a more competitive spring football game and treat spring games like preseason games in the NFL.
Why wouldn't you do that? Now, understand what's going on here. Like, there are some schools that are just getting rid of the spring game because, well, the way it kind of lines up with the portal, they're afraid, like, oh my gosh, it's an opportunity for every other team in the country to scout you.
Right.
So, that's the whole system. But if you're confident enough in your program and your beliefs, why wouldn't you have, like, kind of a controlled scrimmage there? That should get everybody kind of excited. This was an idea Coach Prime floating out there. How close is this real that Syracuse could be one of the teams, or just kicked around right now?
Well, Syracuse, I think, was the team that kind of raised their hand and said, yeah, we would be interested in doing that. And if you're Syracuse, yes, I mean, you want that national exposure. There might be a boost in recruiting knowing that you're competing against a team that's, you can expand your recruiting footprint beyond just the Northeast. You could gain a little bit of an evaluation there. If you're a coach, if you're Fran Brown, you can look at your players in a different, against a different system, against different levels of talent. So there's a lot of positives to it as well. I'm not a half glass empty guy, but then there's also what if you go there for a spring game and the Colorado absolutely throttles you because they want to make you an example. They want to make you look like a small school.
No, that's totally fine. You want to get to work. I don't think anybody would put any stock, just like a preseason game, like you whatever may happen there. One other Syracuse thought that I had, Danger, been kind of holding on. They did put out the schedule, and we do know who's going to be coming into the Dome, but now we know the date. And sometimes because the ACC has this deal with ESPN, you get the Saturday game moved to Friday night, which, okay, the Orange will be playing
North Carolina
on a Friday night, October 31st.
Oh, Halloween night. What is the 23-year-old girlfriend? Is she showing up at the Dome dressed as a mermaid? Right. We had to go right to.
I have to go to the good
we
stuff.
Had to go right.
What is she?
Yeah, we had to go right to what she's gonna wear on Halloween if she's at the Dome. Does she travel with Coach? Does she travel with the team?
I saw this other report that she CC'd on a lot of emails, almost like his personal assistant, which
Now, you have to help me on this because I've been gone for a couple of days. I was traveling for work.
no, dude, you would have to be under a rock not to see those pictures that came out.
The only reason why I know about the pictures is my wife was like, hey, can we recreate that? That would be funny. And I said, I hate that I know what you're talking about, and no.
No.
I hate that I know what you're talking about, and no. We are not going to recreate Bill Belichick doing whatever yoga pose he was doing with his girlfriend. So weird. So absolutely weird. She's thirsty, right? Like, this is just unquenchable thirst.
Little bit.
So to answer your question, is she there? Was she wearing? It's Halloween.
She's not staying at home. She's in Syracuse.
Right. She's hanging out with her friends in the student body. I mean, like in the student section. She's traveling with the North Carolina faithful. Unbelievable. I just thought that was interesting that Coach Prime is floating that idea out there. I kind of like that idea for college football. I do think it, when you see, the spring games, they never grab my attention. I suppose if you're an alum, and you're really, really into your school's program, you're going to watch the spring game just because you want to see how some of the younger guys look. But there would be a little bit more to it if it was, this school versus that school in a spring game setting.
That's it is interesting.
And I wonder if you get TV money from that too. I think you get more eyeballs on it for sure.
I never understood why you wouldn't have been doing that in the first place.
Right.
Other than, okay, maybe it costs money to go travel for, something that doesn't have a gate. But is it about the gate? No, it's about getting fans excited and, oh, by the way, write a check to our collective. Here you go.
Yeah, and it's not as if you have to keep things within the region anymore. Hell, the way these conferences are set up, you're traveling across the country no matter what. Stanford's coming to the East Coast. It doesn't matter. So, yeah, if you're Syracuse and you're Fran Brown squad, you want to travel to Colorado, no big deal, except for maybe the altitude. That's it.
Danger, there was another story while you're gone, and I'm going to say you missed this story, and I would say that the general sports community missed this story because it's the NHL, but I think it's interesting. And it's this. So this year, boy, coming off the Four Nations, that was a lot of fun. One of the byproducts of you got a compressed schedule. I mean, the idea that the Sabres have to play 16 games in 31 days in the month of March, that's not good for anybody, right? And when we get to it's not the Sabres, of course, there's other teams dealing with this. The fact that we get to the Olympics next year, that's going to be a lot of fun. Same sort of deal. This is according to Sportsnet that the NHL would like to start the next regular season mid-September.
Ooh.
September regular season hockey. And they're taking a page out of the NFL's playbook, meaning how many preseason games are there in hockey? I bet you don't know because you don't care. The answer is 6. They would reduce that and add 2 more regular season games. So this is a win-win. Players, you get more time off. And we're going to get a couple more games that, well, quite frankly, we'll build a little bit more and we'll fill the buildings there, going from 82 to 84 regular season games. I'm sorry, September hockey, I know would fly in some places. That would be difficult to wrap my mind around. Does that mean the AHL would have to follow suit too? And we've got a regular season opener for the Amerks in September?
That would be, that would be interesting. Look, on the surface, it's kind of a Francesa.
Oh, who cares?
Just because I know that in the month of September, most sports fans' focus is on football.
Totally on football.
And there's nothing you can do about that. If you're the NHL, if you're the NBA, whatever gimmick you want to throw, however you want to position yourself or launch your season, or doesn't matter because football in September is everything.
King. Baseball. We love it. We love it. Poof. What? Who won the division? I don't care. It's football season.
Right.
Yeah.
You might pay attention to the postseason when you get to October in baseball, but football is kicking everyone's ass in the month of September. So if the NHL wants to do that, I'm all right with less preseason games because they are meaningless and nobody really pays attention.
Oh, who cares?
couple extra games, more revenue for the owners. I'm sure they're excited about that.
You can't do it the other way, meaning I don't like how you stretch out until late June. I remember this from last year, how we marked time danger. We got off for Juneteenth last year. You know what I did? I had a couple cold ones knowing that we didn't have to work the next day. I'm watching Connor McDavid, against Florida. I'm like, wait a second, that shouldn't be. You shouldn't have Stanley Cup final action.
It's a long season, man.
Too long.
It gets really, really fatiguing for those teams. It's almost like when you see what Tampa did during their run, it's like, or Pittsburgh, or any team that's like had a dynasty or had long-term sustained postseason success. That's a lot of hockey. It's a lot of extra hockey that a lot of teams and players don't have to worry about. Buffalo. So, eventually that wears on them. It catches up to them. I don't really have a problem watching the Stanley Cup final from my garage. When it's nice outside and I didn't have a problem with it. It is long though. It's a long season and you're about to make it longer by spreading it out because of the Olympics. If they did it just the 1 year for the Olympics, I'd be like, yeah, all right, you can make that concession because you got the 2 weeks with the Olympics. But I have a feeling that if they try it, they'll probably stick with it, and that'll be the thing moving forward.
Right. It's not let's just spread this out so the games and the quality of play mean a little bit more. It's going to be better. No, we're going to sneak in an extra 2 games there. So I don't know how powerful the NHLPA is and if they could actually object to that, but I thought it's a story like, nobody else is picking up on this. A Sabre regular season opener in the month of September, if the Bills are playing the same weekend, it's not going to register.
Well, yeah, it's not going to register, and let's face it. I mean, we need to see something. Something drastic needs to happen. I don't know what that is or what it looks like. I think we'll know it when we see it, and I know you get the win against Boston, and I know Jack Eichel doesn't score on the shootout, and everybody's booing Jack Eichel, and it feels good. But I mean, it's right now. It's like, okay, too little, too late, guys. I mean, I'm still not convinced.
Oh, who cares?
That they have any idea what they're doing.
You do realize, right? The Sabres right now, there are 8 teams in between them and the final playoff spot. The other 8 teams could lose every game, and the Sabres could win their next 6, and that's still not enough.
No. How many games are left? 18, something like that? I think there's less than 20 games left, I want to say.
It was 16.
16 games left?
Yeah.
So they would need, if they won their final 16 games.
92 points might not be enough.
92 points isn't enough. It's not good.
What are we doing?
They're not getting in. I mean, hey, a couple nice wins. Good for you. The boys are feeling good. You get over, you come back. I mean, did they win against Vegas or did Vegas lose?
No, Vegas lost.
Vegas lost that game.
You have the open net. Take the open net. Oh, I wanted Jack to have it. Who cares?
Yeah.
Jack scored earlier in the game. Jack would have ended up with a game-winning goal.
Sullivan afterwards is not Sullivan. Cassidy afterwards is furious. At his team.
Yeah.
And he has every right to be.
Is there a question there?
You absolutely gave Buffalo that win. And so, yes, it's a win. You don't have to apologize for a win. But that was more Vegas losing than it was Buffalo winning. Nice win. Don't want to take it away from them. But, yeah, I don't know what that looks like here for us. If they were to say, season starting in September, are you ready? No. Not ready.
No.
Not ready. Not ready at all.
The biggest takeaway from me wasn't, should that have been an empty net goal? It wasn't that the Sabres won the game. The biggest takeaway from me is, can Yuri Kulik actually open up his blinds today? Holy mackerel. You were out of town.
No, I saw the hit.
It's a clean hit. Yeah. And he's just turning a corner. It wasn't like his head was fully down. That's a bummer because he is on the Clear Day roster, would be available to the Amerks. You're going to hear me, Amerk fans, keep saying this. If the Sabres really care about us, then Yuri Kulik should be in Rochester. Of course, now, who knows?
Let's get him healthy, right. Yeah. Speaking of the Amerks, let's talk to Mike Leone, Amerks head coach. Big win on Friday night, getting over on Providence in an electric atmosphere for Irish night on Friday. Look ahead to the schedule here for the team, and and get a little checkup. I wonder what he thinks about the prospect of potentially starting a season in the middle of September.
Probably hasn't even crossed his mind. He seems to be fully dialed in on, he's in regular season mode.
That's right. We like that. Mike Leone going to stop by the sports bar next, and we'll get a checkup on the Rochester Americans on the Fan.
Call your snooze button has been dreading. The Fan Rochester Sports Update.
Buffalo Bills linebacker Matt Milano takes a pay cut, essentially, agreeing to a contract. The reduction means a savings of $3.6 million for the Bills against the 2025 cap, some of which Milano can make back in terms of incentives. Milano then would become a free agent in 2026. First four tonight. The NCAA tournament begins. North Carolina facing SDSU in a battle of 11s. NIT tournament, St. Bonaventure hosting tonight as well. They take on Kent State. Baseball season began today in Tokyo. The Dodgers beating the Cubs by a 4-1 score. Shohei Ohtani going 2 for 5 with a run scored. Rochester Americans full week off here. They're back on the ice Friday night at home against Charlotte. We'll talk to head coach Mike Leone next here in the Sports Bar. Gene Battaglia, the sports leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950, The Fan Rochester.
Neat or on the rocks? It's the Sports Bar with Danger and Battaglia on the Sports Leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950, The Fan, Rochester.
Working wide to the left side over the blue line, works his way out top of the sub, moving in shot. Save is made, the Amerks win it. The Amerks come back in this one and win it in the shootout. Stop the slide, coming away with 2 points tonight. Ever so important points, led by Devin Levi in goal. Is outstanding once again in the shootout. Great save on Pitlick, and what a huge win this is for the Amerks.
There's a Hall of Famer Don Stevens on the call from Friday night. As the Amerks get the win against the Providence Bruins, we welcome in Amerks head coach Mike Leone for his weekly visit into the Sports Bar. And, Coach, before we talk about the week ahead, the rare week where you have 7 consecutive days off for your team, let's go back to Friday night because that was an electric atmosphere. Told you it would be on Irish night. Talk a little bit about that big win against Providence at end of the slide.
Yeah, no, we just even on Wednesday, I thought we had a really good week. They're two really good hockey teams, and I thought we had probably that second period against Providence was probably the best we've played all year. I think we had close to 35 shot attempts. Shots were 22-6. We probably could have been, we could have had a substantial lead going to the third period, but I thought we played really, really well, really good team game. We defended well. I think we had 43, 44 shots on goal against a really good opponent. And, I really thought we took away their will in the second period and we really leaned on them. I thought we tilted the ice. A lot of great performances from everybody in the lineup. So it was really good to get rewarded for what I thought was a really good game by the team.
Yeah, going back, and again, you get Charlotte this Friday night. Going back, as you mentioned, last Wednesday, since we talked, that was quite the Rochester debut for your new defenseman, Eric Brandstrom. Couple goals there. Again, it didn't go your way, but getting a veteran like that on the blue line, what's your initial impression of the trade deadline pickup here, Coach?
Yeah, he's a really offensively talented player. I would use the word electric. I mean, he can run a power play unit. He's played close to 300 games in the NHL and recently, he adds an element of, ability to break the puck out. A lot of his shifts are in the O-zone. He gets a lot of O-zone starts, but he's been really good. I think the one thing I probably appreciate is even though he's not you would say a really big defenseman, but he's really competitive. You look at the games he's played, he didn't have a lot of extended shifts in our own zone, and he just provides the secondary scoring from the back end that you're going to need at this time of the year, and I think he's been really good for us.
So what do you do on a week where how do you manage the team on a week where you have 7 straight days off and then you have 3 and 3? Like what changes in your routine, if anything?
We gave the guys 3 days off after the break. I think it's probably a unique. I don't know if any of the guys have ever went through this where you get a break in the middle of the season, but I thought it was a well-needed break. So we gave the guys 3 days off. Yesterday was a workout. We got back at the practice today. I think it was just a good reset. And, now we got 3 full days of practice, and there's plenty enough time to get ready for the week. And no, it was good. It was really good. I think the guys were excited to have the time off. It's even for ourselves, our staff, it's good to get away from hockey for a bit and then just regroup. And we got a really important stretch coming up.
Yeah, gosh, and who knows who's going to stay up, Coach? Because we have no idea. Your thoughts there on Yuri Kulik, a player we care about, and boy, he took quite a shot there. That's a clean hit, is it not?
Yeah, I thought so. I think it's especially the team they're playing. I think it's the one. It was good to see the response from, I can't remember who it was, maybe Greenway, but it's good to, any time you get hit like that, you just got to be real careful where you put yourself on the ice and who you're playing against. And, it's a learning experience for the young player. You're playing a big, heavy team. If, you come around corners or you're exiting the zone and you're probably going to get hit, and it's probably a play you'd like to have back, but I'm glad he's doing better, and it was really good to see the response from the team in a situation like that.
There's a lot of hockey left to be played for both the Amerks and the Sabres, but do you get any sort of sense at all that we might get some reinforcements once the Sabres season concludes here? I know they're still fighting.
I think for sure we get like the Kozaks and Murback. There's a possibility we get them back this weekend, depending on the health. On the Yuri situation, I don't know. It's kind of, I think we have our own thoughts as a staff, like what we should think, but at the end of the day, it's organization and management. They're going to do what they think is best for the player and his development. And we basically, you hope, and you basically have no control over, but just the guys that you have in your lineup. And it was probably the first time in a minute we had a full lineup, not both games, but especially the Providence game. And you look when we're fully loaded, what our team looks like and how we can play. So it's just injuries right now. They're going through it. We've been, earlier in the season, we dealt with the same thing with Noah being gone. Rosie was up. Cozy was up at the time. And I think everybody goes through it this time of the year. You just have to manage with what you have, and the games are so important. And you just got to find ways to win hockey games at this time of the year.
Yeah, we're talking to Amerks head coach Mike Leone, the team, 3 games, 3 days. We'll talk about that coming up here a little bit. You brought him. I'm so happy that he gets a look up with the Sabres here because one of my favorites, certainly a fan favorite, Wednesday night, just taking out somebody. Like, he's not losing a fight there. You can plop him right in the middle there on the power play. Coach, what has Murray meant to your team here in this season?
Yeah, he's been a huge part of it. We got a lot of young players. You need your veterans to step up. You're going to go as far as your older players are going to take you. I mean, there's Noah and these young kids, but they're 19, 20-year-old kids. They haven't been through a season like this, and the games are different at this time of the year, so you really need your vets and older players to step up, and he's done a great job for that. He's having a career year, and goals, points, and he's been a huge part of it, and he's able, to answer the bell when it's needed, and I credit not just him but our group a lot. In those situations this year, our guys have done a great job of sticking up for each other. There's never any hesitation. Even the games against 2 big, heavy teams, I thought we were engaged and we were in battles and we were in scrums. And I think that's really important. I think we've built that over, everybody, this was a team that scored goals and, it's always scored goals. But I think the biggest thing for me is keeping pucks out of our net. I think it's going to be the first time in probably 6-7 years we're going to go under 200 goals for the season 4, and that's winning hockey. To me, that's what's most important, and guys sticking up for themselves. So the guys have done a great job all year, and we'll have to continue to play really good hockey.
All of a sudden, Charlotte's a familiar opponent. They're back in town on Friday. Your return to home ice. And you just saw them last Wednesday. So I'm curious what we learned from Wednesday's game that we can apply for Friday night's game as the team takes Charlotte on again.
Yeah, they're a really well coached team, and there's not a lot of if you look at their underlying numbers, I think they average 36 shots a goal on a game. They give up 22. It's really hard to get to they check really well, and they're big. I mean, their D are 6'4", 6'5", 6'6". And I thought we actually did a really good job. If you look at the game, we took an undisciplined penalty late in the game. They scored 2 power play goals. They only scored 1 5-on-5. I really liked the way we played in that game and that matchup. So we have to be probably better on, special teams against that team. They're number 1 in the penalty kill. They're 3 in the league on power play, and their special team has carried them. But we also have to do a good job of playing with the level of physicality to get to the net front, which I thought we did a really good job of. It's one of those games, so those 2 games, I thought we played really well at both. I thought our team got better. We didn't come out the right side of it, but Friday's a really important game to start the series off the right way.
Yeah, Syracuse on Saturday we know about, and then Coach, you're not like there's certain promotions where okay, that's going to be a lot of fun, and certainly the St. Patrick's one is always one that we have circled. And in recent years, the Bills Day, I don't know if you've had a chance to see these sweaters, Coach, and I don't know. Can we say the Buffalo Bills are your second favorite team, particularly if you're going to be honoring them coming up this Sunday?
No, yeah, for sure. I think they're awesome. I got a little glimpse of the helmets and stuff. Yeah, it's a great. I think it's important too. Like the Bills, when you think about the Bills and McDermott and the Bills, it's like hard and gritty and tough, and I think that's how we want to play as a team too. Yeah, we're skilled, but we want to kind of embody that as our team, and I think it's really cool that we're having the event. I told the equipment guys I want to get one of those helmets and steal one of them, so I have one. Those are pretty cool. I'm really excited about the night. The jerseys look awesome, and hopefully our team's ready to go.
Mike, we were talking earlier about some chatter around the NHL with the Olympics next year about them potentially starting the season earlier to be able to kind of get the Olympics wedged into the schedule, shorten the preseason. Have you heard any of this? Any chatter, any of that cross your desk? And do you have any thoughts on potentially starting a season? I don't know if that would affect the AHL club or not, starting the season as early as mid-September.
You know what? I'm kind of in the dark on that. I'm not really sure. I know there's been a lot of talk of it. I would be for a shorter preseason for sure, but then you got to take into those teams that go the distance. They're playing all the way till June. That's not really a long off season, injuries and stuff. But I'm more for. I think I wish they would allow those other teams to play. To be honest with you, I think a tournament without Russia in it, especially with the players that they have, you could argue. I mean, they would have the best goaltenders for sure. If you look at Vasilevsky, Shesterkin, Bobrovsky, I mean, they probably have the 3 best goalies in the tournament. I just think I'd like to see them play in the tournament. I think it would be a lot better, more competitive, and the players want best on best. I know it's kind of political and everything, but a lot of those players don't have anything to do with what's going on. I wish they would get a chance to play in that event.
Yeah, I think we'd all kind of welcome that. Maybe the 4 nations next time that comes around is 5.
Yeah, you know what I mean? It's just they have so many. I mean, you look at their roster of how many guys they have. I mean, elite NHL players. It'd just be really cool to see the actual best on best.
Mike Leone as the team home Friday night against Charlotte, Sunday against the Utica, the Bills Day game on Sunday. Coach, always appreciate your time. I know it's going to be a busy weekend, so when we talk to you next, good luck getting the 6 points here this week.
Yeah, thanks a lot, guys. Appreciate it.
You got it. Mike Leone, Rochester Americans head coach, stopping by the sports bar and giving us an update on the team as they get ready for 3 games in 3 days, Friday night, Saturday night, Sunday. You'll hear all the action on your proud home of Rochester Americans hockey, the Fan Rochester.
So if we asked him a question like, hey, the division, does it mean all that much? He's been steady in his approach that, okay, and Seth Apper was the same way. Look, no, we had to just do what we need to do. Okay. That being said, Danger, say this doesn't go the Amerks way this weekend. Are we starting to kind of let go of the division? The Amerks right now are nestled in second place. They're 5 points ahead of Toronto. They're also 5 points behind Laval.
Yeah.
So, and it's not a 3-2-1 system like in college hockey. So, my take on it is this. As long as you're one of the top 3 and you avoid the play-in game, where it'd be nice to have, the division, ultimately I think it's going to be just Rochester and Laval in the end. Those are and no offense to Toronto or Syracuse or any other team in this division, and you never know with injuries and whatnot in the postseason. But as long as the Amerks finish at least in the top 2, I'm fine with that.
I got a text while we were talking to Coach Leone from my oldest daughter.
Okay.
Oh, this is bad. I need your help later filling out a March Madness bracket for work.
Leah.
I told her, you know as much as I do.
What I would say is, okay, and this is Uncle Gene speaking,
Yeah,
Leah. Okay?
she's listening.
Leah, you're your own woman. You don't need Dad's help, because if Dad helps you, you don't want to share the credit in that when you win the pool. Do it yourself. You can do this. The satisfaction if you do it yourself.
Okay.
Do not add. She can do what she wants. I would just say, I would never ask you for, advice.
You're also not my 20-year-old daughter.
That's correct.
Old man might help her out, but I really don't know how much help I'm providing.
You know what also is kind of funny, too, when she's texting you that? Does she know you do a show every afternoon, 3 to 6? Or?
They're oblivious, man.
No,
Yeah, where you have the executive producer, listening intently to your every word, hanging on every word. No, my wife and my daughters are completely oblivious to the idea that from 3 until 6, I'm in here talking sports with you and with everybody that listens.
That's a fun part. Absolutely fill out a bracket, but do it on your own.
And just one. Hedgers or losers. Sheet of integrity.
That's right.
One bracket.
One bracket, one pool.
The Bills made a move today. We'll discuss the restructure of Matt Milano next. We have happy hour coming up. Let's get you some free tickets to see Black Keys coming to CMAC. Okay. Like me some Black Keys. If you want those tickets, we got them for you right now. 866-4326 is the phone number. Caller 5 at 585-866-4FAN. And we'll get you some free tickets to see the Black Keys coming to CMAC from the Fan Rochester.
You're listening to the Sports Bar with Danger and Battaglia on 95.7 FM and AM 950, The Fan. The Fan Rochester Sports Update.
Bills linebacker Matt Milano agreeing to a new contract. The reduction in pay means a savings of $3.6 million against the 2025 cap. Milano will then become a free agent in 2026. First four tonight. As always in Dayton, Ohio, we started off the second game of the nightcap. Will have North Carolina facing San Diego State University. St. Bonaventure's in action tonight. The NIT tournament taking place in Olean. The opponent, Kent State. Today in Tokyo, the Dodgers beating the Cubs 4-1 as the regular season begins in Major League Baseball. Shohei Ohtani 2 for 5 with a run scored. Rochester Americans are back on the ice Friday night against Charlotte. That begins 3 games in 3 days. The Bills Day game coming up on Sunday. Gene Battaglia, the sports leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950, The Fan Rochester.
Pull up a stool and join us. 585-866-4FAN. 866-4326. The Sports Bar with Danger and Battaglia on the Sports Leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950, The Fan, Rochester.
Happy hour right around the corner in the Sports Bar with Danger and Battaglia. And we'll discuss what this Matt Milano restructure could mean for his future, what it could mean for the Buffalo Bills as they look ahead to the 2025 season. Well, let's face it. I mean, I just mentioned it. My daughter is sending me text messages. Daddy, help me fill up my bracket. That's the season we're in. And Thursday, it all gets underway. Well, the first four is fun. It's a nice little appetizer. But the real action, we want to be a part of it. We want you to be a part of it with us. We're going to be on the west side of Bill Gray's.
Yeah, drinking and chowing down. How about that? They will have the Jenny Light specials on tap. $9 pitchers. I swear they didn't do that intentionally, Danger.
They absolutely did that intentionally. They know their audience.
9 times.
That's a deal. Also, $12 dozen wings at Bill Gray's every Thursday, which, okay, opening day of the tournament. Sign me up for that, as we will be there broadcasting live from 3 to 6. Bill Gray's will also have some prizes out there. So you've been out there before, Danger. There's a lot of room we could spread out in every monitor. That, there's plenty of room for everybody to come and hang out.
Gonna have a blast. Gonna be an absolute blast, as it is every year when we're at Bill Gray's Tap Room, Chilai Avenue, for the start of the tournament. That's Thursday. The Sports Bar will be live from 3 until 6. We'd love to see our regulars out at Bill Gray's Thursday afternoon.
We can share a cold one and maybe a win or two.
Or you could be setting your bracket on fire by the time we get off the air. We'll see. Either way.
like Danger's like, what if we did like a bracket burning? I'm like, Danger, who actually prints out the bracket anymore?
Some people only print out the bracket. Some people won't do the digital version or the app version. Some people.
Most pools, though, you're just clicking.
Most of them, yeah. Most of them, you're doing it through an app or you're doing it through a website. I get that. Or you could say, hey, I'm going to print it out just so I can burn it. Screw the earth and our ozone layer. I'm burning my bracket. It's on fire. I have more fun watching the brackets burn than watching your teams lose. But that'll be Thursday. We're looking forward to it. Bill Gray's, the Tap Room, Chilai Avenue, the Sports Bar live from 3 until 6. All right, lots to unpack from Matt Perino, Syracuse.com, who joined us earlier today. We're going to discuss Matt Milano, who took a little pay cut today, a little reduction in salary, some savings for the Buffalo Bills, what it could mean for the future of the Bills defense.
That's interesting. We can explore that.
And we also have the words of Kyer Elam today. We have the words of Steelers defensive tackle Cam Hayward on Aaron Rodgers, some juiciness there. We'll get to all of that and your calls next during Happy Hour at 585-866-4FAN, 866-4326.
9BF Rochester, the sports leader. 95.7 FM and AM 950. The Fan, Rochester, an Odyssey sports station.
The Fan Rochester Sports Update.
Bills linebacker Matt Milano agrees to a pay cut. The reduction means a savings of $3.6 million against the Bills' 2025 cap. Milano can earn some of this back with incentives. The trade-off here, Milano, where he had 3 years left on his deal, he'll become a free agent in 2026. College basketball begins tonight, the first four in Dayton as always. Second game of the doubleheader has North Carolina facing SDSU. Down in Olean at St. Bonaventure tonight, tipping it off in the NIT tournament, the Bonnies taking on Kent State. Overseas in Tokyo, that's where the Major League Baseball season began today. The Dodgers beating the Cubs 4-1. Shohei Ohtani 2 for 5 with a run scored. Same two teams tomorrow. Ameryk's back on the ice Friday against Charlotte. Gene Battaglia, the sports leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950, The Fan Rochester.
The Sports Bar with Danger and Battaglia.
We got NCAA tournament games tonight. The first four.
First moment of March Madness has arrived.
We're going to be talking a lot of March Madness this week. You can tell I don't like this stuff very much, so it's really hard to talk about, but it's a lot of fun, especially this time of the year.
I still think if you're the Bills, you got to shore up the interior and probably go D-line with your early pick there. And I still think you need to add an impact receiver.
Aaron Rodgers.
Either you want to be a Pittsburgh Steeler or you don't.
Kirk Cousins, it's Mr. Unlimited.
Mike Danger.
Danger's got to feel like danger if I'm going to be able to come in here and perform every afternoon in the sports bar.
Gene Battaglia.
Aren't you proud of me?
Yeah, I am proud of you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I am.
The baseball season kind of began this morning in Tokyo. The Dodgers a 4-1 decision over the Cubs.
Go Sabres.
Let's go Amerks.
95.7 FM and AM 950 The Fan. Rochester.
Where do you come down on that? Baseball season hasn't started yet. I mean, yes, these games count, but baseball season doesn't start until we get to opening day. True opening day.
Oh, come on. I said this yesterday. Like, it's important to grow the game. That's an old Bob Matthews take. Honestly, like, the opening day should be in Cincinnati, and it should be... No, you want to grow the sport. This is where it's at. And logistically,
why are you going to Japan if you're trying to grow the sport? It's already huge in Japan.
Oh, my gosh. And it's even bigger. Like, I was going to save this for shots. Like, they had 150 theaters sold out.
Right.
Like, pay-per-view.
If you're going to say it's to grow the game, then go someplace where they don't play baseball to grow the game.
Oh, danger. Stop. I mean, it's like, where, Africa?
Opening day in Bangladesh.
No, come on. Like, go where you can make some money. That's how you grow the game. Do you want, like, that's another way of phrasing this. They made a lot of money by going over there.
Yeah, I hate it. And the Dodgers get their first of what I predict will be a 157-win season. Beating my Cubs.
How many games?
They're 162.
Yeah. How many wins do they have?
157.
Oh, okay. So 150. You get 5 losses.
I don't know if you heard the Dodgers' payroll for this. Their payroll is north of $1.75 trillion for this season. So it's almost all deferred, but that's this season's payroll. The Dodgers will win 157 games.
I'm just curious, who are the 5 teams they're losing to?
They're going to lose one to the Diamondbacks. They'll lose one to, what are we calling them? I don't even know. Are they the A's? Are they the...
Yeah, they're just the Athletics.
The Athletics?
Yeah, like this is...
The Athletics will rise up and surprise them with one. I predict they will lose a game to... they'll lose one to the Giants. Just one. And then... Yeah, the Rockies. I'm going Rockies.
Rockies.
Yeah. That's 4 or 5.
That's 4. That's 4.
Oh, we got one more. Marlins.
Oh,
yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, Marlins.
Wow, the Marlins. Now, do the fans in San Francisco...
157-win season. Put it on the board, Gino. It's happening for the Dodgers.
Do they storm the field when... after they beat the Dodgers? The fans are just so excited running onto the field.
Yes, it's a big deal when you beat a team that's only going to lose 5 games all season long. I'm going to save you a lot of time. Just check back in October when the Dodgers are in the World Series after a 157-win season. That's what's going to happen. And maybe I'm a little upset that they beat my team in what I consider to not be opening day. But the LA Dodgers get the win 4-1.
You'd be very proud of me last night. 10th round, sitting there. I'm like, are you kidding me? What has happened? Mike Trout's still sitting there.
Not a winner.
I didn't take him.
That's right.
Let somebody else.
That's right. Oh, but he's great. He's such a good player. So good. He's not a winner. Mike Trout.
It's comfortable.
Yeah, a little.
It's comfortable.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah.
We've got the first four happening tonight. We've got a bit of Bills news, and it's Matt Milano's turn to go through the contract restructuring. And to see the length of the contract pared down to basically now a 1-year deal, it's signaling that this might be it for Matt Milano in Buffalo after this upcoming season.
Well, he's 30. Okay, so you get linebackers who are savvy and can continue on, but really the element of Matt Milano's it's the speed of his game. It's how he can diagnose plays. And we saw a little bit of that last year. I'll say this, Danger, where you did that on a necessity with Von Miller. The Bills cap was so gross. You wanted to do some things. Von Miller, you could have just walked away, I suppose. But you convinced him to do the incentive-laden thing, and you get to let him get a sack in New England. Okay, who cares? I think Milano, honestly, I think he has a chance to reclaim his old form. I'm not going to rule that out. Von Miller last year, nobody was saying, whoa, let's see if it's the old Von. No, we kind of knew at that point.
The suspension in the middle of the season, the whole thing was a mess. But with this restructure, this reduction in pay for Matt Milano, his base now will be trimmed to 6.3, just over 6.3 million. 5.63, one of that is guaranteed this season. So, and look, we could kind of glaze over this, but I think for guys like Matt Milano, for most professional athletes, and I think this is part of why Aaron Rodgers hasn't signed with the team yet, we're talking about over $3 million here. That's not nothing. $3.6 million less for his base pay in 2025, and the chance to make that up with performance incentives through the course of this season. So you want him to stay healthy, you want him on the field, and if he hits his incentives, maybe it's not any less than what he was scheduled to make for the 2025 season after all, but it is a savings for the Bills of just over $3.5 million on the salary cap for 2025. And now you have to start to wonder, what does life look like for the Buffalo Bills defense post Matt Milano, who will now be a free agent after the 2025 season?
I would think that Sean McDermott, where we always viewed him as, hey, Tre'Davious White is his guy, Matt Milano's his guy. Like Matt Milano, when we talk about, my gosh, the Bills have 3 fifth-round picks. Oh, who cares? Fifth round. No, Matt Milano is a fifth-round pick. That was a hit. And now he was also a pick they got from it's a compensatory pick back in 2017. Mike Gillislee leaving for New England as a free agent running back. Okay, the next year, here's your fifth-round pick. It turns into Matt Milano. What do you know on that? And this is how long it's been, Danger. The guy he had to beat out in camp, Ramon Umber.
God, dark days. Dark days when Ramon Umber was starting for this defense.
Find the next Matt Milano. Is it Dorian Williams? I like Dorian Williams, but is Dorian Williams going to develop into an all-pro player? Could this actually be the sneaky thing the Bills are on the hunt for? Because ideally, you would want to give a guy at least a year under his belt before.
And they got the guy. They got him circled at some point during the course of the draft. Watch the Bills select from the University of Buffalo Sean Dolak, linebacker, and the legend will continue. He's a Buffalo kid. He went to UB, and he's good. He's good. We had Matt Perino on earlier with us. Not Matt Milano. Matt Milano doesn't speak to anybody. Matt Perino was on with us earlier.
Spoke to the fan Rochester.
Yeah, we've never heard Matt Milano speak. Matt Perino joined us in the 3 o'clock hour and actually said he thought Dolak was the second best pro prospect ever to come out of UB behind Khalil Mack. So assuming he gets drafted and you're the Buffalo Bills, where are you comfortable investing and getting your guy? And that was part of our conversation with Matt Perino. The idea that the Bills shouldn't be afraid come draft time to get their guy, to go up and get their guy. We were talking about Kaiir Elam and how Kaiir Elam came into the building as somebody that they had to settle for. you're never 100% confident when you have to settle.
I'm hoping that Kyrie Elam, because by all accounts he's a good guy, right?
He is a good guy.
Yeah, I don't want him to fail in Dallas. And, like, I don't have this hatred for the Cowboys. Like, no, and I don't think it's going to be, I don't care. Is it embarrassing for Brandon Beane? Maybe a little bit if he succeeds in Dallas. But the line about how he was put in the backseat, okay. Don't tell me you didn't start games. You had an opportunity in the AFC Championship game, dude. So you were in the backseat exactly how?
Yeah, it might be some of that first-round draft pick mentality. Or an entitlement that comes with that label. I thought he was a good guy. I just remember, and I know it's not uncommon for DBs to wear the oven mitts during practice so they can't use their hands, but man, from day one with Kyrie Elam.
Well, for a first-round pick.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like,
from day one, he had those oven mitts on. I'm like, ooh, and he was like singled out. Like he was the only guy wearing them. So they knew immediately, all right, he's handsy. He plays a lot of man. We need him to, not do that. We don't want him to get the pass interference penalties or whatever. And that continued through his first. I'm like, that's a tough look. And then, of course, inactive. I think that rookie season against New England, if I'm not mistaken, was the first time that happened and raised a lot of eyebrows. So what we don't know is what happened behind closed doors, but we have a feeling with the revolving door that was a secondaries coach that there was probably a lot of attempts to get the right guy to work with Kyrie Elam, and Kyrie Elam just not responding to any of that with Buffalo and not being able to get on the field. So I just think when it comes down to it, he was the guy that they settled for. They really wanted McDuffie, and they had to live with Kyrie Elam, even though he wasn't the guy that they wanted. They settled.
So here's the lesson.
Never
Trade
settle.
Up. Yeah, trade up. The Bills have 10 picks. 10. And they're not one in the 7th, so kind of 10 picks, but useful picks. Let's just put it that way. What are the chances that all 10 guys make the 53? I'll tell you. 0. So why not use some of that capital and move up? F them picks, Danger.
Get your guy.
Get your guy.
Get your guy. And maybe that guy is Sean Tolek, linebacker, University of Buffalo.
Well, and this was an interesting point because, Brownie and Tasker were talking about this too, like the mock drafts. Who is the king of the mock drafts going to Buffalo at 30? It's Kenneth Grant, Michigan. And we all like, yeah, that would be really good. Is he really going to be there at 30? Because I don't know. I've seen some mocks that have him there at 30, but if he's going to be the guy, could I see Brandon Beane moving up 5, 6, 7 slots, whatever it is? I don't think there's any shame in that. You're a team that's kind of built to win a championship now. Find the guy right now.
And if it is Grant, you're getting a guy who improves your defense day one. He's an elite run stopper. You need that.
Yeah, particularly with your oops, we didn't know about, we knew about the one guy, but we didn't know about the other, and we're holding this press conference at 4:30 on a Friday afternoon, so we don't get anybody talking about these 2 suspensions. Matt Perino also kind of saying, hey, listen, they're saying they're accepting responsibility, which would lead you to believe they're not going to appeal. 6-game suspensions will be showing up soon.
Yeah, and also kind of telling that it was on a Friday afternoon, and Perino caught what we caught on Brandon Beane when he was delivering that message. He had some egg on his face, and that was probably a hard thing for him to swallow some pride and be in front of a room full of reporters and say, yeah, we didn't really know about this. I mean, I'm glad he's being honest about it, but it doesn't make it look any better. I mean, you have 2 guys that you've invested in free agency that aren't going to be available to you for almost half the season.
Yeah, we could have been in the dark on Ogunjobi all the way to, say, training camp or something like that. So that's, I mean, I'll give Brandon Beane credit. Let's just rip the Band-Aid off. Get this here. And, the topic of, well, Ogunjobi admits this. Why didn't you just move on right then and there? Sorry, we're not going to deal with this. What was left? What were the options? You're bringing Ogunjobi here. Are you bringing him in for weeks 3, 4, 5? Or are you bringing him in for, I don't want the wild card round, but let's say wild card round, divisional round. You're bringing him in for the end of the season.
Right. I mean, the guys that are left in free agency on the defensive line are guys that have been in the league a long time. We're talking Calais Campbell guys. We're talking Linval Joseph kind of guys that might want a little bit more in terms of money that won't be able to give you the kind of production that you actually want from a younger guy. So the bright side, hey, it's 6 less games of wear and tear, and maybe they impact the later end of the schedule, later end of the season when they come back from that suspension. But it doesn't make it any worse of a look for Brandon Beane or any better a look for Brandon Beane. And sharing that news on a Friday afternoon. Yes, the Friday afternoon news dump. All right, so when we look at free agency, the name that is still glaring, the name that I think everybody is waiting for an announcement on, including the Giants, including the Steelers. We talked about this last week with Bart Winkler. What is Aaron Rodgers going to do? We are squarely in the middle of the Brett Favre career arc for Aaron Rodgers. I'm wondering when embezzling money, allegedly, from a state welfare program.
I'm Brett Favre. I don't know. Shucks, I didn't know anything about that.
Gee, it's 2025. I don't know that we need to do there's a lot of Southerners that might listen to the show, and we've got a great community.
Is it the year 2025 in Rochester?
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know that you need to do that accent. Okay, we can just shelve that accent for now. We get it. Brett Favre is from the South.
Okay.
So what is Aaron Rodgers going to do? Is Aaron Rodgers going to retire? Is he going to sign with one of these teams? And when we had Bart on with us last week, he made the point, and I agree with Bart 100% on this. It's not Aaron Rodgers' fault that the Steelers and Giants are as quarterback desperate as they are, and it's Aaron Rodgers' first chance at free agency. And it's not insignificant when you've got $3, $5, maybe $10 million difference from what you're being offered from one team to the next. And then you got Cam Hayward of the Steelers going on a podcast. I know he's not. He makes it very clear he's not going to recruit Rodgers, but I don't know if he's helping at all. Like Rodgers could be listening to this, and be like, "Yeah, I got to go up against this guy every day in practice. No thanks."
I ain't doing that. Darkness retreat. I don't need any of that crap. Like either you want to be a Pittsburgh Steeler or you don't. That's simple. That's the pitch. Like if you want me to recruit, that's the recruiting pitch. Pittsburgh Steelers. If you want to be part of it, so be it. If you don't, no skin on my back.
Translation, Francesa.
Yeah. If you're Cam Hayward, if you're the Steelers, with lesser of two evils, you want Russell Wilson back, or do you want Aaron Rodgers? You want the darkness retreat, or do you want corny Russ and
Well, at least it's the devil
All right.
Like Rodgers, okay, say it's Rodgers. Is he going to, like, we called this from the beginning. He's not going to, not tomorrow, not next week. It's going to be August. There is something to that danger, the spring practices and everything else that you kind of need. Just learning, your teammates and kind of figuring out things. And Aaron Rodgers certainly doesn't want to deal with any of that at this point. So.
In that regard, I would say if you're Aaron Rodgers and you know that that's a prerequisite from a team, we want you here for OTAs. He did that with the Jets. He was there. Well, mostly he wasn't there for.
It was a big deal when he wasn't.
Yes. He clearly doesn't want to do that. He might as well just retire at that point. You would think that would be what he does. I'm not sure that he's going to. And again, if there's millions of dollars at stake in one direction or the other, if you're Aaron Rodgers, go ahead and take that long walk on the beach and contemplate your future. You've earned it, pal.
What do competitors do? They measure themselves against others. So Rodgers can wait as long as he wants because he looks at Russell Wilson like, you've never even had one MVP vote.
Yeah.
You're not me.
Or the Kirk Cousins, conversation. Like, does a team trade for Kirk Cousins? Do we get to the draft and Pittsburgh says, you know what, we've been patient. He hasn't gotten back to us. He doesn't really show any interest in wanting to be a part of our offseason. Screw it. We're just going to trade with the Falcons and bring Cousins in for a season.
We're going to be talking about this guy, Rodgers, on draft night again.
Mm-hmm.
Even though he was drafted, 20 years ago, whatever it was?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Really.
And then the embezzlement from the state welfare program comes down the road.
That
Allegedly. Yeah. So there's the Rodgers bit, the Kyer Elam bit, and then I'm forgetting. What am I forgetting about? Is there a third thing?
Yeah, just baseball.
Oh, right.
Baseball.
Right.
You I don't like it opening overseas. It needs to
So,
be in America.
this is something that me and Matt-
you sounded like baseball writer.
No,
I'm like,
no.
I don't even know you. Like,
No.
I need a printed out bracket. The baseball season needs to open up in America.
I kind of feel slighted. I feel like I'm a degenerate if I'm watching my team at, 4 a.m., 5 a.m. in the morning, watching them in Japan.
It's like, how much did Fox Rochester care about it? They didn't pick up the game. They didn't even put a scroll like, hey, if you're tuning in for this.
That feels like cheap to me. That feels like baseball didn't get a fair shake. It should be a bigger deal, and it would be a bigger deal if it was here. But it's there.
It's there. And it means a lot to them.
I don't like it. I want it here. Doesn't feel like opening day. It's not opening day.
Well,
I can't believe I can't believe Bob Matthews and I have the same take. I have a feeling if I ever had a conversation with Bob Matthews, he'd probably just grumble at me and ignore me the rest of the time. Just grunt and grumble at me, and then that would be it. Wouldn't really be much of a conversation.
He wouldn't know who you were.
No, he would have no idea.
No idea.
And then that would be it.
That would be it.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm mindful. There's probably, I don't know, some people that not familiar. There was a guy on the air many, many years, and he's still in our town there, but he had a certain way of doing the radio show.
Yeah. Well, I mean, when we launched the sports bar, we kind of said, you know what, let's do it differently. Let's do something that isn't like what sports talk in Rochester has been like for many, many years.
People ask me all the time, don't you take calls? No, because that was the other show. Like, hey, I don't want to.
We should say we do take calls.
But you better.
But you have to contribute, right?
Yeah.
Like, that's always been the standard, or it should be the standard. It's like you don't just get to be on the air because you're Mr. Cleveland Browns.
Mr. Soccer, go ahead.
Yeah, right.
You know, but like back to the phones. No, bad radio.
The scariest words in all of sports talk radio. Let's go to the phones. No, we want you to contribute. We love when you call us at 866-4FAN. But, it's the old Rome thing. Have a take. Don't suck. Add something to the conversation that we maybe have forgotten or missed. Enhance it.
Yeah,
Make it better for everybody.
Yeah, and we do have a lot of great calls.
We
Brad
do.
in Rochester,
Mm-hmm.
Peter, Chris. We appreciate our regulars.
Well, we appreciate our regulars. We have never really crowned, like, the best of all of our sports bar callers.
They're children. Like, I wouldn't want to pick my favorite kid.
Well,
no.
I will. I will.
Okay.
I'll go ahead. There's one guy that always, when he calls us, and I hope he's listening. I hope he hears this. And I hope everybody else is listening as well, because he sets the standard for everybody else.
Oh, I know who you're talking about.
Adam in Irondequoit. Yeah. Adam from Irondequoit, I should say. I don't even know if he's still in Irondequoit.
He's serving.
He's serving.
So he may not be in town. So that's why we don't.
Adam from Irondequoit. When he calls in, he gets the open invite. He can call anytime.
We clear the dance floor.
We do clear the dance floor, and he goes. And we let him cook. So yeah, I give him the crown. That's the standard for the rest of you. Work on that. Let's see. What else do we have here, Gino?
Chris writing in. What's with that supposed Southern accent, Gene? It was not me.
I think it was very insulting to our listeners down south. We have listeners in the south, and it's 2025, Gene. Okay, I think that might be a little inappropriate. We're gonna get to a round of shots next in the sports bar.
Yeah, let's do that, as we do have basketball tonight. We do have baseball, 6:10 a.m. tomorrow. The Tracy Morgan story. Now, mind you, I realize we're all kind of going home here, so I'm not going to get graphic, but that was something that was really, really unfortunate. And, hey, our guy, is he our guy anymore? We'll tell you about Rory.
Thursday, the sports bar is live. We're going to be at Bill Gray's Tap Room, Chilai Avenue, the start of the tournament, and we will be there from 3 until 6, watching all the games, drinking all the beer, eating all the food. We invite you to come out and hang out with us as we do the show live. It's the Tap Room at Bill Gray's, Chilai Ave location, 3 until 6. Jenny specials. Would you say $9 pitchers?
$9
pitchers.
I mean, they did that for us, did they not?
They listen to the show. They know their audience.
We can share a cold one and maybe a win or two.
We look forward to seeing you Thursday afternoon in Chilai at the Tap Room at Bill Gray's. A round of shots next on The Fan.
You're listening
Sports Guru. The Fan Rochester Sports Update.
A haircut for Matt Milano. He agrees to a new contract. It's a reduction in pay. Means a savings of $3.6 million against the 2025 cap. Milano can make some of this back by way of incentives. Milano will become a free agent then in the year 2026. College basketball begins tonight. March Madness. North Carolina facing SDSU in a game played in Dayton, Ohio. NIT tournament in Olean. St. Bonaventure hosting Kent State. Baseball season beginning today in Tokyo. The Dodgers over the Cubs by a 4-1 score. Shohei Ohtani 2 for 5 with a run scored. The Amherst back on the ice Friday against Charlotte. That's 3 games in 3 days for Rochester. Sports is brought to you by GetMyPerks.com, where today you can save discounted golf to Eagleville. For this and other great deals, log on to GetMyPerks.com. Gene Battaglin, the sports leader, the Fan Rochester.
Rochester's home for live sports and the best sports talk anywhere. The sports leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950. The Fan, Rochester.
Happy hour continues. Last call coming up. Your call's at 866-4326. First, a round of shots.
It's at one time of year we got to figure out, okay, where's True TV? Do I actually
I know
have
where
this?
it is. Not on my provider. That's where it is.
Fubo.
Yep, sorry about that.
Same.
But, if you know, you can always, there's always a way.
St. Francis, PA against Alabama State. St. Francis, PA, by the way, like if you're a 90s child, what Dallas Maverick went to St. Francis? Mike Isolino.
Mike Isolino.
He's Italian. 6:40 tonight. That's the battle of the 16 seeds. It's going to be
that's Catholic school, right? Of course he went to a Catholic school because he's Italian. Yeah.
Oh, who cares? Followed up by it made danger. Don't make fun of the Italians.
No, I was making fun of that matchup.
Yeah. Okay. Fouled by the team that nobody thinks should be here, North Carolina. The Tar Heels in 11 facing San Diego State. North Carolina 4.5-point favorite for the 9:10 scheduled tip time from Dayton.
All right, that one is a little interesting, but St. Francis, Alabama State. Cute.
Yeah, you got to love college basketball to watch that.
I'm not going to make an effort on that one.
North Carolina, they have this magical team that goes on a run after, what are they doing in here? And Bubba, the AD, will be vindicated.
Isn't the AD also, on the selection committee?
That's the whole point. He was the chair of said, but he was out of the room when North Carolina was discussed.
Hold on a second here. This is all very, very shocking to me. Do you mean to tell me that there's some potential corruption in college athletics?
Hold on. I say this every year. There's an easy way to fix this. College hockey, you don't have a selection committee. You know why? The computer. There it is. Who's the best team that is at large? Okay, you. Sorry, you were out. Go talk to the computer. We don't do that in college basketball because you know what? CBS pays money for that show. We need to debate. We need to build the hype. We need to talk about this. What are they doing in, West Virginia? I'll use a different accent. I'm going to sue you. Come on. What are we doing?
Doesn't have the same effect.
It does not.
But I understand what you're saying.
You understand it.
All right, well, we have that tonight. The first 4 gets underway.
If there's one thing Japan loves, Danger, that is baseball. Dodgers, Cubs, of course.
So why are we going there to grow the game? I get it. It's money. But, let's grow.
Are you kidding me?
Let's grow the game. Let's go to Italy to grow the game. Hey!
Okay, grow the game, though. Not maybe just make money.
Got Tony Pepperoni out there swinging a salami, trying to hit a home run.
Did the Buffalo Bills go up to Canada to grow the game in Canada, or did they go up there for a paycheck?
Yeah, it's to get money.
Yeah.
Everything follow the dollars always.
Dodgers, Cubs. Not only was it sold out, it was streamed in over 150 movie theaters in Japan and other spaces as well. LA's Yoshinobu Teramaru and the Cubs Shota Imanga squaring off. 4-1 was the final. Game 2 tomorrow morning, 6:10 on FS1.
Now, if you missed it earlier, I gave my preseason MLB prediction. It's actually not the preseason anymore because these games count, but I predict that the LA Dodgers will win 157 games this season.
And I asked the question, who are they going to lose to? And you were very bold. You said the Giants are going to get them once.
Giants will get them once. That's a rivalry. The Rockies, you never know what happens.
The
of course,
Diamondbacks.
Diamondbacks are one.
And then you went with the the Athletics. Just simply the Athletics. And the Marlins.
Yeah, the Marlins going to rise up and beat the Dodgers. That's a big win for that organization. Fans, all 5 of them, storm the field.
So what you're saying essentially is the Cubs are not one of those 5 teams
No.
the Dodgers will win.
No, they're going to win 157 games with their team payroll of just north of $3.7 trillion. It just went up in the last hour, actually.
Let's be honest. Yeah, the Boston Bruins, Danger, not a good hockey team.
Not this year.
Against the Sabres, they had 4 shots on goal in the second. Then midway through the third period, they had 1 shot on goal. Alex Tuck with the game winner overtime. 3-2 Buffalo wins. Game 2 of the 4-game road trip coming up Thursday night. First time ever Buffalo playing in Salt Lake City, facing the Utah Hockey Club.
Maybe I was asleep at the wheel, but did they make that official? Do they have a nickname yet? Is it going to be Utah Hockey Club
I don't know,
moving forward? I thought there was a vote. Maybe they're waiting to unveil it all.
It can't be the Yetis because apparently they don't want to pay off the Yeti cooler.
That's too bad because that's the best nickname that they could have rolled out there. If they go with Utah Hockey Club, I guess it's okay. I can't remember what the other ones were. I don't think they were great. I don't remember loving them. The Sabres, even though they're winning, or they won against Boston, you're right. That's not a good hockey team. They don't have to apologize for wins, but like when you look back at the Golden Knights game from the weekend and you see Kulik get absolutely obliterated and you see how they come back and they win that game, they didn't really win that game so much as Vegas lost that game.
Yeah. Just take the empty net goal. They didn't do that. They tried to feed Eichel. It cost them. And when we talked to Mike Leone last hour, it's like, yeah, that's a learning moment for Yuri Kulik. You're coming around the corner on a breakout. Make sure you know who's ready to line up against you.
God, he got just destroyed.
Yeah.
Violent hit.
Comedian Tracy Morgan threw up on the court at MSG Monday night, like literally threw up on the court. Eventually
who amongst us hasn't?
Taken out of the arena in a wheelchair. Today, he blamed it on food poisoning.
Of course.
Joking around the Knicks are 1-0 when he does that on the court.
He's hammered, right? Allegedly. Has to be. You're courtside at a Knicks game. Tell me you're spoiled without telling me you're spoiled. You get a chance to go courtside, and you're hammered and yakking all over the court.
Well, doesn't your body give you like a warning, like, hey, maybe... It's pretty violent.
I was on a flight this morning, and I thought I was going to lose my lunch. Well, it was early this morning. Would have been my lunch. It would have been something else. But turbulence was bad flying in, and I don't know what got me through. I was breathing and trying to get to my happy place and ignore the kids that were screaming behind me. If you're in that mode where you're like, I'm going to be sick, it does take a little finesse. You do have to kind of know your body and know how to time it out. I don't think it's I had a friend who was at the game and actually sent me video of them wheeling Tracy Morgan off the court. Glad he's okay, but food poisoning? Yeah, sure. Okay.
Yeah. Not ideal. Finally, save this one for you, Danger, because, well, normally you don't have golf finishing up on a Monday, but that's what we had.
Yeah.
And normally you don't have golf finishing up on a Monday. That also happens to be St. Patrick's Day.
Yeah.
The playoff at TPC, and wouldn't you know, Rory McIlroy wins.
Sure did.
And there were the photos with he and our Rochester royalty, his wife Erica, and 4-year-old Poppy. And the photo shoot afterward. Rory, congratulations, but just remember,
we
buddy,
don't forget.
We don't forget.
No. We do not forget.
No.
I wanna pull for him. I can't pull for him. I do. I want to pull for him. Can't pull for him.
We get to, and this is a nugget Jeremy White throughout. Like, Rory has won in every month except for April. Isn't that wild?
Can't win the Masters.
Yeah. Okay, so when we get to Butler Cabin, well, you know who does the championship interview is always done by Nance.
Yeah, but yes.
Okay, but you know where I'm going with this, right? The hey, you finished third. Tell me how the round went. Tell me your thoughts. You know who handles that.
It's Amanda. But he's been interviewed by Amanda a bunch of times.
Not at this stage, though.
You mean at the Masters?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where, like, literally you are there.
I'm trying to remember the timeline. This was all last summer, right?
Right.
So this would be the first Masters where Amanda would have to interview Rory, knowing there's probably more eyeballs watching than, all the other times that she's interviewed Rory since last summer with the breakup. It was even earlier this year because I remember I was telling my wife about it. I was telling Sandy about it. She didn't know anything about sports or anything.
Yeah.
She knows that Rory is married to a Rochester girl.
And that's Amanda the Homewrecker doing the
He
interview.
said Amanda the Homewrecker. And she's like, what? I'm like, yeah, let's watch. Because she was interviewing him. And I'm like, all right, you watch. And you tell me if you see any cues, any discomfort, any awkwardness between the two of them. And to their credit, they kept it pretty professional. I don't think you would have known that allegedly there was something there last summer. So they'll probably keep it professional. But since then, honestly, Rory's been playing really good golf since last summer. Really good golf.
Right. So is this going to be his, and are we pulling for him in the Masters? Because after all,
I am not.
He's a dark horse from way back in the day.
Oh, my God.
That's a callback. Right?
Yeah. Who could forget? Oh, my first dark horse. I don't even know.
My first dark horse, and he's not really a dark horse, I think he's the favorite, is Rory.
How can you be a dark horse if you're the favorite? The one and only master stroke. Miss my buddy. So good.
See, just keep that in mind when you want to go down to Florida. Like, yeah, you keep in touch. And after a while, you just kind of like you just kind of fade away.
No, dude, I'm telling you what's going to happen. I'm going to go down there, and there are going to be days where I'm just not feeling it. The beach is calling my name. I'm going to call my buddy. I'm going to be a master stroke, call into the bullpen, 3 to 6. You want to hang? You want to hang out with Gino? You know he's going to say yes.
Oh, sure, yeah.
Yeah, of course he's going to say yes.
I love the moves ready being made. Oh, of course. So a team that is 17-0.
Sports bar with master stroke and Battaglia. You know, the Florida edition.
You call me new master stroke for a little bit there. So
I'll let it go. I just said it in passing. It didn't stick.
No.
You can never top this.
My first dark horse, and he's not really a dark horse, I think he's the favorite, is Rory.
You can't top that. Nobody can top that. That's our guy. That's the one of one master stroke. Predicting the Masters and say, oh, my first dark horse is actually the favorite.
Peterman's going to be the man.
Yeah, you're right.
This is a master stroke by McDermott.
Anything more than what Tyrod did last week, I would consider thriving for a Buffalo Bills quarterback.
Then that should be Peterman's stats after the first quarter.
Peterman is going to make mistakes.
He might not make it out of the first half.
I have been waiting since week 1, and I think that Peterman, from everything we've seen in preseason and in the little bit in New Orleans, I think he's the man.
Dom, I'm warning you.
You watch, Gene.
You are crazy. Why can't it be us? Dude, you're going to be so disappointed
I'm
on
not.
Monday.
There is no way I'm going to be disappointed Monday.
Spoiler. He was disappointed. Wringing his hands. I have been waiting. He hated Tyrod. Hated Tyrod as the quarterback of the Bills. And when they drafted Peterman, I have been waiting for what I saw in the preseason. What was Peterman, 5th or 6th round?
6.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. 6th-round quarterbacks usually pan out, right? Especially with a defensive-minded head coach who's not calling the plays. Yeah, that always works out in his favor. Yeah, Nathan Peterman, what a disaster. Nobody can top that.
Four interceptions. We're midway through the second quarter. Now keep him out there a little.
He might not make it out of the first half, was the prediction. Right. And he almost didn't make it out of the first half. Amazing. We're going to take a break, come back with last call. We have time for your calls on the other side. You can have the final word in the sports bar at 585-866-4FAN, 866-4326.
coffee look like a sleepy time tea? Straight up with no chaser. You're in the Sports Bar with Danger and Battaglia on the Sports Leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950 The Fan, Rochester.
Last call in the Sports Bar, 866-4326. You want to pull up a stool and have the final word. Don't forget, Thursday with the start of the tournament, we will be live from the tap room at Bill Gray's, Chilai Avenue. And $9 pitchers.
Yeah.
Yeah, they know what's up. I mean, did they do that for us? They had to have done that for us.
9 times.
Yeah, they know. So we'll be watching tournament action. We'll be drinking all the beer, eating all the food.
We can share a cold one and maybe a win or two.
Look for you at Bill Gray's on the west side, live from the tap room at Bill Gray's, Chilai Avenue. Dan Fates will be stopping by that day as well. On the phone, we'll have Dan Fates to talk some Buffalo Bills. And there at Bill Gray's, as has become tradition, St. John Fisher head coach Mike Rosadonia will be stopping by.
Yeah, love talking to Mike there. And we just kind of react, and we get his coach's perspective on that. I'm curious to get his thoughts on Rick Pitino. Is this any cause for concern just when it comes to the betting line itself, that 83% of the dollars are on St. John's to cover 15.5 against, I don't even know who they're playing. I don't even care.
I would take St. John's in the points. They're covering.
Yeah.
I don't.
83% of so the public is going all on St. John's.
Yeah. Well, I don't know what that line is. I haven't looked at that recently. Do you know what it's at as far as like what the odds are?
15.5.
15.5 points. But
yeah. Oh, what would like for St. John's to win it all? I don't know. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Well, look, tomorrow, all of our questions get answered because we're going to have our buddy Ryan Horvath from BetMGM tonight stopping by the Sports Bar.
Yeah, as he'll be joining us at 4:25 tomorrow. If you missed PJ Glasser yesterday, you can listen to it on the Odyssey app. Just download it and you can go back to yesterday. What time was he on? He was on around 4:30 yesterday. Where, look, this is brass. He picks a 14 over a 3. Kentucky's going to go out again. Last year, going out to Oakland, he says it's going to be Troy. And
Troy over Kentucky.
Troy could take out Alabama too. He's
high on Troy.
He's high on Troy. So could Troy? It's not Troy against Alabama. That's another one. Forgive me. Troy will knock out Kentucky. PJ doing a great job yesterday, and we got to work on our Baltimore accent bracket too. For him.
God, I'm behind. I'm so behind. And I feel bad because I know we wanted to get Ryan's co-host, Brad Evans, on with us this week, and we mixed up our signals, and I think he thought he was going to be on with us today, and we want him on tomorrow. We'll get Ryan Horvath on with us tomorrow, and we will absolutely dissect the bracket and look for some upsets.
My job tonight is to practice. Horvath.
Ryan Horvath.
No,
Ryan Horvath.
Horvath.
He's good. He's on BetMGM tonight on The Fan.
Rochester.
We're going to go to Bill Gray's. We can get a great plate when we're there. Yeah, I'm going to get a great plate when I'm at Bill Gray's.
I'm sorry. It's 2025. I should not do that impersonation because there are a lot of you listening that talk exactly like that. And I don't want you to think that I'm making fun of you. That's just
immature.
It's just immature. I'm sorry. I apologize to all who I may have offended with my Rochester accent. My kids laugh every time I do it. Is that bad? Yeah, cuz. Let's go to Bill Gray's. We can get a grape.
Yeah, we'll go to Bill Gray's. We'll see Danger and Battaglia.
They're going to be there?
Yeah.
I like those guys.
You do?
Yeah, cuz. They're great. We can get a picture of Ginny?
You drinking Ginny?
Yeah, cuz it's on sale. $9 pitchers.
9 times.
Why did they play 9 times?
I don't know, cuz. I think it's from a movie or something. All right, I'm done. I could honestly do that. I don't spend any time inside my brain. It's
games we'll be watching. We'll have BYU, VCU. PJ Glasser thinks VCU will win that.
Okay.
11 over 6. Georgia, Gonzaga. That's an 8. Gonzaga is an 8. This is going to be the year they do things.
Gonzaga in the Sweet 16 always feels like a lock, right? They got a pretty good streak going.
Yeah, but they will always kind of trip up. Well, Auburn, we don't even know who they're going to be playing because they're going to wait the winner of tonight. They'll be playing as well on Thursday.
Okay. And, yeah, you have the first of the two. You have 2 of the first 4 tonight with the highlight being North Carolina playing later on tonight.
St. John's, by the way, they put that not in prime time, 9:45 Thursday night.
Doesn't matter. If you're into it, you're going to be up. You're going to watch it. You know, if you're out, I have friends that are going to spend all day Thursday and Friday at the bars, drinking beers, watching basketball, because it's the best weekend, in the opinion of many, on the sports calendar. Can't fault them.
No.
If you missed any of today's show, Gino mentioned it. You can go back and listen with chapters and rewind in the free-to-download Odyssey app. Just search out the Fan Rochester. Search out the Sports Bar. Go back and hear any part of the show you may have missed, including Amerks head coach Mike Leone, who joined us last hour. Matt Perino of the Syracuse Post-Standard talks some Buffalo Bills in the 3 o'clock hour. That conversation's available wherever you get your podcasts. You can find us. Just search out the Sports Bar. Thanks to everybody who checked us out on our YouTube channel, our stream on YouTube and Twitch, at The Fan Rochester. Our channel there. Like, subscribe, share, tell a friend. We appreciate it when you put some wind in our sails. You can also get us on your smart device anytime when you ask it to play 95.7 The Fan. JR Sport Brief next. Have a great night. We'll be back tomorrow afternoon starting at 3 on The Fan Rochester.